Next, we're going to look at privacy settings. Now, this is a really big, important section in LinkedIn. And in this section, I'm going to cover just 4 main areas. So we're going to look at turning off network changes. We're going to look at profile viewing options. We're going to talk through your public profile. And we're going to cover job seeking preferences. So if you're ready, let's get started. Next, we're going to look at what happens when I Google your name. So I have an example here of a search that I did on Google for my name. And as you can see, the very first search result that comes up is my LinkedIn profile. And this is because LinkedIn is such a huge website. It has a lot of influence over the search engine rankings. So I want you to be very aware of the words in our LinkedIn profile and how that can influence the Google search rankings. So you can see here that under the bit of text for my search result, it says view Louise Bunyan's profile. And then it has pulled words and sentences from my LinkedIn profile. For example, winner of Best Marketing and Communications Blog Corporate, Blog Ireland Awards 2016. And then because it's found a match for my name in my email address, so email louisebunyan@smartfox instead of contacting me through LinkedIn Messenger, please. So that's one example of how important our LinkedIn profiles are on Google searches. But what happens if I Google a job title? So here is an example of another Google search result, but this time I've put in the words LinkedIn trainer. And you can see that my profile is appearing just at the end there. And this time it's after pulling different words from my LinkedIn profile. So you can see Louise Bunyan, LinkedIn trainer and social media trainer, line digital. So that's my job title on LinkedIn. So don't disregard your job titles because they're very important and we're going to do a lot of work on keywords around that. You can see the second one, the HTTPS, that's my LinkedIn profile link. And you can see it's nice and tidy. There's no long numbers after it. And then you can see the words for my profile that it's pulled. But this is actually a part of my headline, my LinkedIn headline, director and founder of SmartFox, digital marketing consultant, social media trainer, speaker and writer. So again, really important that we have our profiles well written and optimized because we just don't know where they may appear. So another aspect that I want you to remember is it's all about standing out from the crowd. So how do you show that you are better and different? And you need to prove it. You need to convince me. And just remember that LinkedIn is only one part of your sales and marketing strategy, but it's a really, really important part. Okay, to access our privacy and settings section, we have to go to Me and look for the circle with your picture and the white drop down arrow. So we click on that and we just go down to Account, and then underneath Account, then we have Settings and Privacy. So we click on that. And this is the real engine of LinkedIn. So it's all the settings and privacy. And for this section, we are going to stay in the privacy tab. There is account and there is ads and there is communications, but for now we're going to stick with privacy. So a little shortcut here on the side is where it has how others see your LinkedIn activity. So we're going to click that. And we're going to go down 3. So we go to profile viewing options, manage active status, and then share job changes, education changes, and work anniversaries. And all we do is we click that section and it expands. And can you see where it says choose whether your network is identified? Do you want your network to be notified of your work anniversaries and changes to your profile? So if you have that to yes, all you do is you flick it over to no and it'll save automatically. So what does this mean? And I'm going to show you. So let's say I left this turned over to yes, and then I made a change on my current job title. So I can show you. So let's say I edited my current job title and I put something else in there, or let's say I added in a new job title. So let's say I am just having some fun. Let's say, president. And that this button is flicked over to yes. If I hit save, this is what is going to appear. So my job update will appear on the newsfeed. So if I change my current job title, or if I create a new job and have a new job title and leave that button flicked over to yes, this is what will appear. It would say Louise Bunyan's job update, and then underneath it would say congratulate Louise for starting a new position as ... Now, sometimes people are quite happy to share their new jobs. If you've got a new promotion, or if you've changed jobs, changed company, or you've come back into the workplace, you might be absolutely only too happy to share your job update across LinkedIn. That's fantastic. But what if, let's say for this course, we're just going to play around with our job title and change a few of the keywords? We don't want that appearing on the newsfeed. So that's why I always ask people to make sure that they change that they have updated their network changes to off. So I'm just going to flick that back over to no, so that if I make any changes on my current job title, that it's not going to appear on the newsfeed. So if you want to check that, we just always make sure that share with network is switched over to no. But if you are very happy to tell your whole entire network that you have a new job and you want to use it like a press release, then by all means leave that flicked over to yes. Now in this section, we are going to look at what profile viewing options are available to us. But the first question is, what is a profile view? So according to LinkedIn and myself, it is when somebody visits your personal profile by clicking on either your personal LinkedIn URL. So for example, if I did a Google search and if your LinkedIn profile appeared on that and I click on that search result and it brings me to your personal profile. If I'm in LinkedIn and you post a piece of content and I click on your name or your photograph and that brings me to your profile, or if I find you through a search on LinkedIn and I click on your name and your profile, it'll bring me to your personal profile. So people always ask me, where do I see my profile views? So we'll pop into our LinkedIn page. And if you are on your home feed, over on the left hand side where it says who's viewed your profile, if you hover over that, that's clickable. So I have 625 and you click on that and you can see then who has viewed your LinkedIn profile. And some people ask me, is there a difference between the free plan and the premium plan? And there is quite a difference when it comes to profile views. So basically, on the free plan, you can see the 5 most recent profile views, and that's all you get on the free plan. But on the paid plan, you can see everyone who has viewed your profile across the last 90 days. However, if somebody has selected private mode, you will never see who they are, regardless of what paid plan you are on. So LinkedIn will always respect that privacy option and they will never share those profile views with anybody. So this is an example of what the free plan will look like. So you could have 100 people looking at your profile every day, but you will only see like the 5 most recent views. So in this example, there's 2 people who have the most open option ticked, and I'm going to show you this next. But then we have 3 people who have anonymous ticked, and you can see the only information I get is that these people viewed your profile in private mode. So next we're going to look at the 3 levels of visibility. So to find this, we have to go to Me and look for your circle and Me and the drop down arrow, and then we go to Settings and Privacy. So we look for Account and then Settings and Privacy. And we click on How Others See Your LinkedIn Activity, and then we're looking for the very first option where it says Profile Viewing Options. So if we click and expand that, these are the 3 options that are available to us. So the top option is your name and your headline, and that is the most visible that you can be. The second option is private profile characteristics, and then the third option is private mode. So I'm going to take you through these in a bit more detail step by step. Okay, so the very first option, your name and your headline. So if I look at your profile, and if you have this option selected in return, then we both get to see who's looked at each other's profiles. So for you to get profile views back in return, you must choose your name and your headline. And the other person must have this setting too. So basically, both of you are giving permission for profile views. But on the free plan, you only get to see the 5 most recent views. If we look at the second option, so the private profile characteristics, university professor in the marketing and advertising industry, LinkedIn has decided on this wording to maintain your anonymity. And people ask me, well, how come you're a university professor? So I have no say, or I have no influence on this, because LinkedIn has decided that wording. And they get this wording from my job title. So my job title is LinkedIn trainer, social media trainer, digital marketing consultant, speaker, Ireland. So the LinkedIn bot has just looked at all those words in my job title, and it has decided that I'm a university professor in the marketing and the advertising industry. So if you are on the free plan, and if you choose this, and if you look at my profile, all I will see is that university professor in the marketing and advertising industry viewed my profile. However, if you choose this setting, and if you're on the free plan, you wipe away 90 days worth of profile views. So if you click that now, everybody who's looked in your profile across the last 90 days, they will be deleted and you'll have to start from scratch, but you get no profile views in return. So if I look at your profile, you don't get that information, because it's a give to get. You're not giving your permission to let other people know you've looked at their profile, so LinkedIn aren't going to give you anything back in return. And now we have the third option, and this is anonymous LinkedIn member, and this is private mode. So within this, if you choose this option, and if you're on the free plan and you look at my profile, all I will see is that anonymous LinkedIn member viewed my profile. And if you choose this option and you're on the free plan, again, you will wipe away 90 days worth of profile views and you will get 0 profile views in return. However, there is a little caveat, because if you are on any of the paid plans, so for example, if you're on the premium plan, you can select either of the private profile ones, such as, the private profile characteristics, which would be the university professor, or you can go totally private mode and be anonymous. But because you're on the paid plan, you get to keep your anonymity, and you get 90 days worth of profile views back in return. So just something to be aware of. So a quick little summary of that. You can choose like any option that you want. You can be like number 1, your name and headline. You can be number 2, private profile characteristics, or you can be number 3, private mode. If you're on the free plan, if you choose number 1, like your name and your headline, and I also have that option ticked, we're both giving permission to know who's looked at our profile, so you get back profile views in return. If you choose private profile characteristics or private mode and you're on the free plan, you get back no profile views in return. And if you were to tick that now, you wipe away 90 days worth of your profile views. The last option, private mode, the only difference here is that if you are on the paid plan, any of the paid plans, you get the best of both worlds. You get to keep your anonymity and you get to get profile views back in return. So that's probably one of the biggest benefits of the premium plan, in my opinion. Next, we're going to look at your public profile. So this is what general members of the public can see of your LinkedIn profile if you're not connected. And you have full control over everything that everybody can see over it. So what we do is we go to the LinkedIn screen and then we go to Me, and then we scroll down, we look for Account, and then we click on Settings and Privacy. And in this tab, we're looking for the very first section here at the top, how others see your public profile. And then underneath that, we look for Edit Your Public Profile, and we go over here and we click on Change. So up at the very top, it says Public Profile Settings, and it says you can control and limit what is shown on search engines and other off LinkedIn services. Viewers who aren't signed into LinkedIn will see all or some portions of the profile view displayed below. So there's a few things I want to show you on this page, and I'm going to talk you through it first. So imagine I Google your name and we're not connected on LinkedIn, and the Google search result shows me your LinkedIn profile first. So I click on that, and if we're not connected, this is what is available to me, and you have full control over what I can see. So depending on my settings, I'm okay with showing people my photograph, you can see my headline, and you can see my personal summary underneath, and you get a bit of my work history. So you get my current role, and then you get some honours and awards, and then down at the end you get my recommendations. However, I can turn off or I can turn on even more sections, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. But up at the very top, I just want to show you how to edit your custom URL. So see the way mine has linkedin.com/in, and then it has Louise Bunyan. So normally some people will have their name and they'll have a load of digits or numbers after that. And if you want to tidy up your custom URL, all you have to do is you click on the little blue pencil, and you can delete all the numbers. And then sometimes what people might do is, if they can't get like a custom or a unique URL, they might put in a little underscore and then their industry. So for example, you could type in Louise Bunyan _marketing or _engineer or whatever it is. So you make your change and then you hit save. And if you are lucky, if your URL is unique and if nobody else has that already, you get your success button. But then if somebody else has taken your URL, it'll say that's not available, and you'll have to kind of come up with another way of writing your custom URL. But it's always really good to kind of tidy it up and to take away all those numbers and digits. Then underneath, we have edit visibility. And I suppose the first thing you need to be aware of here is that your profile's public visibility, that is switched to on. Now, sometimes when I'm training, I can see people and they have this flicked over to no. So that's basically, that means they're on LinkedIn, but they are invisible, as in nobody can find them. And if you are thinking of changing careers, or if you're looking for a job, you need to have this turned on, because over 50% of recruitment in Ireland is done through LinkedIn. So underneath it has basic details, and these are required. So you have your name, your number of connections, your industry, and your region. And then underneath here you have profile photo. So this determines what type of connection can see your photograph. Now, some people may choose only first degree connections, and these are LinkedIn members directly connected to you. So you've either sent them a connection request or they have sent you a connection request, and you're connected on LinkedIn, like your friends on LinkedIn. The second one is your network. So this is your connections and then people up to 3 degrees away from you. And then the next one is all LinkedIn members. So we may not be connected on LinkedIn, but as long as that person has a LinkedIn account, they will be able to see my photograph. And then the last one is public. So this means all LinkedIn members, on or off LinkedIn, your content could be visible in search results, for example, in Google or in Bing. So some people are quite comfortable having their photograph available to the public. So I'm self-employed, I work for myself, so I'm absolutely fine with that. But then other people, they are a bit more private, and that's absolutely fine. And they may choose to go for either all LinkedIn members, your network, or only my first degree connections. So whichever option you want, you can pick your option now. So underneath we have a couple of more options. So for example, we have headline, and I have chosen to show my headline because, as we know, headlines are really, really, really important for many different reasons. But let's say I wanted to turn off my headline. Now, I don't recommend this, but just for demonstration purposes, I'll show you. So I'll flick that over to hide. And up here, I get my little success box, and now my headline has disappeared. So to make that reappear, I'm going to flick that over to show. And can you see there? Now my headline is back. So it's really simple. You just choose what you're comfortable showing to the general public and what you would like to hide. So for example, my posts and activities, I've just chosen to hide that. I prefer you to be connected with me to be able to read like any of my articles or my blogs or anything like that. And my current experience, I have the details shown. But for my past experience, I've chosen to hide that just from people that I'm not connected with. Because I felt I had so many jobs in there that I just wanted it to be a lot shorter. And also I prefer people just to see what I'm doing currently, because that's, I suppose, how I work now, and that's how I get all my work. But it's totally up to you. You choose what you want to turn off, or you choose what you want to turn on this section. And that's it for our public profile settings. In this section on privacy settings, we looked at a lot of different elements. So just a quick recap. We always need to turn off network changes when we are working on and editing our profiles, but you can use it like a press release when the time comes. Remember that there are 3 levels of visibility on LinkedIn. So you can be completely open, you can be semi-private, or the last one, you can be anonymous. And just be mindful of the impact that choosing any one of these will have when you look at somebody else's profile. We also looked at your public LinkedIn profile and what will appear to members who find you through a Google search or through people that you're not connected with on LinkedIn. And lastly, we covered job seeking preferences. So just make sure that you're aware of what happens when you apply for a job through LinkedIn. Is your profile shared with the job poster or not? and all the other elements within that section as well. Now we come to the personal profile section of LinkedIn. And again, this is a really big section, and we have 9 different areas that we're going to cover. And really we're going to look at the full A to Z of the personal profiles. So the 9 sections are the cover image, contact info, your photo, your headline and keywords, location, about, work history, recommendations, and adding a new profile section. And yes, there's a lot to get through in this section, but it's really, really important. And if you're ready, we'll get started. So now we're going to look at the branded cover image. So to find this, we need to go to your personal profiles. So we go to me, so look for the circle and me, and then we look for the blue link at the very top that says view profile. So we click on this, and now we are into our personal profiles. So your cover image is this image that appears here. See where it says, on mine it says Smart Fox, and then it has like the green band, and then it has my website address as far as there. Now, I work for myself, so I'm quite lucky in that like I have a branded logo and all this. But if you are just a regular employee, or if you've been out of the workforce for a while and you don't work for yourself, I'm going to show you what to change here. So everything that we want to edit in a lot of our profile is behind this blue pencil. So we're going to click on that, and now we're going to look for another blue pencil. So see the blue pencil, it's just up here, and if you hover over it, it gives you the pixel size. So I'm going to click that pencil again, and it gives me the option now of I can redrag and just move my existing image up and down. But for this example, I'm going to change the photo. So for yourselves, you might be looking at a picture of you at an event or something like that. This example, I'm going to use, I was speaking at an event, or you could do like a Google search and just Google, LinkedIn cover images. So whichever image you want, you save it to your PC, and then we're just going to double click, and I'm just going to drag and reposition it there. So I think that looks okay. I can zoom in, I can make it bigger or smaller if I want. If it's a bit crooked, I can straighten it. Just going to have to keep an eye on the little number. You can add in a filter if you want, and we can do all sorts of adjustments as well. But I'm quite happy because that was a professional photograph, so I'm going to leave it like that. And I'm just going to hit apply. And just make sure that you're happy. So if it looks good and you're happy, and then we can hit save, and there it is, it's changed. So really easy, really straightforward, and only takes like 2 seconds to update. But this is really important because it's free and it's all part of our personal brand. And if you have like a nice photograph of you in a work setting, it can actually work really well to try and get across a bit more of your personality and who you are and what you do. In this section, we're going to look at how to update our contact information on LinkedIn. So to find our contact information, we need to go to our personal profiles. So just in case you're not sure, we go to me, look for the drop-down arrow, we click view profile, and we look for this little blue link. and just underneath our personal headline, and it's called See Contact Info. So we click on this, and then this box appears then with all of our contact info. So you need to read through like the web address, if you have one, the address, your email address, and if you have linked up your Twitter accounts. And are you happy with everything that's in this section? So for example, if you've changed employers recently or a while ago, the web address or the website that's there, is that your present company, like your current company, or is that your previous company? And then most particular people sometimes have the wrong email address, or they have like previous employer's email address, or sometimes they might have like a personal email address. So if we want to change anything, the rule on LinkedIn, we look for the blue pencil, we click that, and you can change whatever you want here. So for example, if you wanted to change the website, you can pop in a new website address and you hit save. If you want to add in your phone number, you can add that in as well, and it gives you 3 options. It gives you home, work or mobile. Because I do a little bit of traveling, I've just left my address as being Ireland, but I can update my specific location in another section, and I'm going to show you how to do that later in this course. And then the big one is email address, so I'm going to show you how to change that shortly. And then if you want your birthday to appear, a lot of people don't, but if you would like your birthday to appear, you can add it in there. I don't, so I've left mine as being blank. So back up to email address. Now this is clickable, so if you're unhappy with the email address that's there, and maybe like you have left a job, or you're currently not working, but for some reason your previous employer's email address is being listed, we need to change that and we need to update that. So we click on this because this link is clickable. Now it's going to take us back into like that privacy engine, and it's going to take us directly into the email address section. Now with LinkedIn, you can have more than one email address. So sometimes when I'm working with clients, I could have like 4 or 5 email addresses in here. But you only can choose one to be your primary email address. So your primary email is the one that LinkedIn will use for like all correspondence, but you can log in with any of the email addresses. Primary is just your number one for correspondence. So let's say you wanted to like edit, or you want to add in a new email address. So I'm going to click add email address, and just for demonstration purposes, I'll just put like Louise at smartfox.ie. And what we need to do is we have to send a verification. So when you click on this, you have to look for the password box. So we just put in our password, and then we hit done. And when we hit done, what's going to happen is we need to check the email address. So we have to go into that inbox, and then we look for the verification email on that. So we have to prove to LinkedIn that yes, that is our email address, we have access to it. So what you need to do now is, if you have changed your email address, you have to go to that inbox, look for the verification, click on the confirm link. Now sometimes you have to give it a few minutes, like the new email address doesn't appear here immediately. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to come through. So when we have the new email address added, you can choose then to make it your primary email address. So when you click on primary, again, it's going to ask you for your password. So pop in your password and click primary. And can you see now that that email address is now my primary email address? So all of my communications from LinkedIn is going to go to that email address now instead. So you can add as many email addresses as you want, but only one can be the primary email address. So next we're going to look at your photo on LinkedIn. And there's a couple of reasons why your photo is really important. So did you know that profiles with a photo get 21 times more views than profiles with no photo? And you're 36 times more likely to get a message when you have a photo on your profile. And that message could be from a recruiter, or it could be from somebody like in a talent acquisition team. So hopefully that message is to do with a job. And basically, like nowadays, would you talk to anybody on the internet with no photo? Probably not. So I have a couple of tips here for you around photographs. So a black and white filter on a good phone is fine, and I've used those filters on pictures for some clients just as a temporary measure, and they've worked really, really well. But you do need a good phone, or you do need a good camera. So good lighting is essential, and obviously natural light is the best. And make sure your photo looks like you do now, or almost like you do now. So frequently, once or twice it's happened that like I've arranged to meet somebody for a one-on-one consultation, and I only know their photo from LinkedIn, and they walk in and I don't recognize them because their photograph on LinkedIn is probably like maybe 10, 11 years old, and that they don't really resemble that picture anymore. If you have changed your hair color dramatically, like if you were platinum blonde and you've gone like jet black, or vice versa, then it's most definitely time to update your photograph. But if you do change your hair quite a bit, like it can be kind of difficult to constantly keep an updated photo, but you should try and look like your photo at all times. Another tip is to have solid background color, so something that can make you pop a little bit more, to make you stand out, and that your head should take up at least 60% of the square or the circle as it is now, because it is all about your face and your facial features. And obviously you need to look professional, and you need to wear work appropriate clothes, because you are a professional in your LinkedIn picture, and we need to get that across. And lastly, I would suggest that you smile, because you have to look quite warm, quite friendly, quite inviting, and quite professional. So if you take a little look at mine, I got mine done professionally, but you don't have to get yours done professionally by any means. And I'm just quite happy with mine. I suppose I'm smiling, I'm looking at the camera, nice professional background. So no party pictures, no night out pictures, just look professional and wear work appropriate clothes, and no nights out, most definitely not when you're looking for a job. So in this section, we're going to cover, what is my headline? Why is it important? Your headline is this piece of text, and it sits underneath your picture and your name. And it's really, really important. And I want you to think of it like a newspaper headline. It's something that grabs people's attention. And in your headline, there's a couple of different elements. You have 120 characters to describe who you are and what you do. And it does not have to be only your job title and your company if you're currently working. And the words in your headline, they really influence LinkedIn's search engine results ranking, or SEO. And I would like you to consider everything that you do in your job currently, but if you're not working, like all of your skills and all of your experience that you can bring to a role. But I also like you to consider your story and your personal brand as well, because we have to appeal to hearts and minds through our headline. And lastly, I'd like you to remember that your headline, it's not set in stone. So what I mean by this is you can change it around every few weeks or every few months. I do. I'm always tweaking and changing my headline and trying out different words and seeing what effect that has on my profile views. So it's really easy to change your headline. It's just a click of a blue pencil. So you should always make sure that your headline is up to date and it always reflects your current career or where you're going. So there's a few reasons why your headline is important. And the first reason comes into play when you post any content. So for example, in this picture, I was delivering a LinkedIn talk to great female tech students, like women in STEM students. And so we took a photograph and I posted it on the newsfeed. And what you can see here at the top is that it shows your name and your picture, and then it has your headline then underneath. But it only shows maybe about 50% of your headline. And what this means is that for me, like, the newsfeed is prime advertising retail space on LinkedIn. And it's free advertising. So LinkedIn doesn't give us very much for free. So we have to be very clever in how we use LinkedIn and what they give us for free. So we have to make people curious. So we have to get clicks, bring people back to their own personal profiles, and ideally we would get a connection request from them out of the curiosity that we have brought to our headlines. And then next we have to sell. So there's nothing wrong with selling, yourself, selling your company, and selling what you do and what skills that you can bring. And as I said before, LinkedIn, it doesn't give you very much for free. So we just have to be very mindful of all the little tips and tricks and how we use all the free elements of LinkedIn. The next part of why our headline is so important is that your headline appears when you comment on a post. So for example, with this company, you can see up at the top, Louise commented on this, and then underneath you can see the comment there. It says looking good, but again, you get my name, you get my picture, and you get about half of my headline. So you can see that headline is an older headline, and it was reflective of where I was at in the business at the time. So by commenting on other people's posts, there's a few elements at play. So firstly, LinkedIn loves it when you comment on other people's posts because that's engagement, and it loves to see like human to human and person engagement. And actually it will push that post further across the newsfeed because you have commented on it. But also, I suppose it shows that you may know a company, or you may know somebody a bit better by the fact that you're commenting on their post. And you should never be afraid to leave a positive comment or an interesting comment on somebody's post, because they're really, really hard to get comments, and it actually will make you kind of stand out a bit better. But at the same time, you have to be genuine, and I wouldn't overdo it. So let's say you're trying to get into a company for a job, and you're connected with the HR person, and every post that they put up, if you start commenting on that every single time, it's going to become really, really obvious, and it's going to eat away at your credibility. So golden rule of thumb is commenting is great, but always just be genuine when you do it. So another element I want to show you about your headline is, some people ask me what to do about adding in currently seeking opportunities. So this is an example from somebody I know on LinkedIn, and you can see here that they have their current job title, but they're not working at the moment, but they've put in office administrator, and then they have currently seeking opportunities. So this is a very, I suppose, internal kind of temperature approach. So some people may be comfortable with putting in currently seeking opportunities, or maybe if you've recently lost your job or you've been made redundant and you don't want to be putting it out there into LinkedIn, you can choose not to put that up there either. But the benefits to putting this up would be, like, for a recruiter or anybody working in talent acquisition, they may see this and say, okay, that person is actively seeking work. I'm going to ring them, and I'm going to drop them a message on LinkedIn and have a chat and find out a bit more about them, because it might just be kind of easier for them if you're actively engaged in seeking a new role, rather than trying to kind of convince you to get you to leave or to get you to consider going for an interview in another company. But again, it's a total like personal opinion. It's completely up to you. There's no right way or wrong way to go about it. And just before we get into the nitty-gritty of what words to use in our headline, I just want to talk about this default setting on LinkedIn. Okay, so there's a really annoying default setting on LinkedIn. So when you go to add in a new job, so let's say this is a new job that I want to add in here. Can you see down at the end it says update my headline? And this is default ticked, and it's really annoying because I spent a lot of time crafting my 120 character headline, which I'm going to show you how to do shortly. But let's say I have this new job and I put in my new job title and my company and my location. And let's say I forget to untick this. What's going to happen is it's going to wipe away my lovely 120 character headline, and it's just going to replace it with like my new job title. Let's say it could be like, you know, director or managing director at, I'll go like, you know, LinkedIn. Go big or go home. So what it would replace my lovely 120 character headline, see it's done it here now, update my headline. It's done it automatically. So my lovely 120 character headline is gone. So my advice to you in that situation would be to always, first of all, untick that. But if you forget to untick that, what you should do doing any work on your LinkedIn headline is that you write it in a Microsoft Word document or a Google Doc or whatever word processing platform you use, and have a separate copy always saved somewhere else. Because if you do accidentally forget to untick that box and it wipes away your lovely 120 character headline, there's no drama because you have your headline saved in another document and you just copy and paste that and you pop it in and you hit save and it's all fine. So now we're going to look at keywords. And for me, keywords are like the core foundation of your LinkedIn profile. And there's a few reasons for this. So I suppose LinkedIn is just one big search engine. So I did a search for marketing and I got back nearly 44 million results across entire of LinkedIn. So this is just within the confines of LinkedIn. Like, this is not Google searching or anything like that. It just goes to show the volume of content that is on LinkedIn, that you get back nearly 44 million results for the word marketing. And then I did a bit more digging around and I put in the word digital marketing Cork. So I was using the search filter to kind of see what that would give me back. And even that gave me back 11,654 results. So again, it's not 44 million, but it's still a huge number to get through. And in another part of this course, I'm going to show you how to use filtering to kind of work on that number and get that number down a lot more. But I just want to show you that specific keywords refine searching. And also that, in my opinion, the LinkedIn search engine, it's quite blunt. So basically, if you put in the words digital marketing Cork, it will only return profiles that kind of match those keywords. So any individual to come back in that search will have a combination of digital marketing Cork. But this is great for us because we can kind of manipulate the search engine then a lot more. So now your keywords. Your keywords are really, really important, and I'm going to take you through a few steps now on how to find keywords and a couple of tips and tricks around this. So one of the best ways I found where you can find your keywords is through job descriptions. So when you're looking at a job description, it's absolutely fantastic because they're basically spoon feeding you all the keywords that you should be using to kind of pepper throughout your LinkedIn profile, but also into your CV. So for example, with this job for an accounts administrator, they say up here that AP experience is absolutely essential. So AP is accounts payable. And they also have said that, you need to work as part of a team, but they've repeated that twice. They have it up here and then they have it down here as well. Excel, Word and accounts package is desirable, so of course that jumped out at me. And then they say experience in reconciling control accounts and invoice statements, POD processing. These are all really important as well. So I suppose these are like really practical kind of skills that you need to have for this job. So what I would do, I would look at this job description, but I would also look at maybe 3-4 other job descriptions for the same job or for the same job title. And I would look at what keywords are repeating across all the job descriptions. And I would literally take them, and if I have those skills, if they're relevant to me, then I would pepper them throughout my LinkedIn profile. But we're also going to be mindful of them when we're using them for our headline. So that's one brilliant way of getting some keywords. And then another way is to use the dashboard. So LinkedIn will give you a lot of your keywords in the dashboard. So in your LinkedIn profile, we are going to scroll down and you're looking for this grey box and it's called your dashboard. And what we're looking for is the third section here, and it says search appearances, and there'll be a number in there. Now, you may have a very small number. It could be like 5 or 7, or you might have a bigger number. But this is clickable, so we're going to click on that. And then we get into our weekly search stats area. So you can see my profile appeared in searches 111 times between the 16th of July and the 23rd of July. Now it gives us 3 very good pieces of data, and the first one is where your searchers work. So you can see here they give you up to maybe five different types of companies. They can't tell you who in those companies is searching for you or has done a search and your profile appeared in that search, but they can tell you the names of the companies where the people work. And the second one is what your searchers do. And again, they will give you 5 different types of very general job titles. So for me, my kind of target market, the people I'm trying to influence, are like business owners, business founders, and CEO. So you're always looking for alignment. So I can see here I have business founders and I have business owners, which is really good. And then I also deliver a LinkedIn for Sales course, and I'm happy to see up here that salespeople have been searching my profile. 11% of the searches were done by salespeople. Now for you as a job seeker, ideally what you'd like to see here would be a lot of recruiters, talent acquisition, HR people, but also maybe heads of teams. So if you're in engineering, there could be a head of engineering who may have the decision on who they hire coming into the team or not. But you're just always looking for alignment here. Who are you trying to influence, and are they appearing? Are you appearing in their searches? And last, down here, you have keywords your searchers used. Now, I just have to say one thing on this, that sometimes if you have a very low number of searches, if you have 5, 7, 10, 11 searches, frequently this section could be blank. And it's not that you've done anything wrong, it's just that your profile probably hasn't been optimized strongly enough to appear in a certain number of searches. And if we take a look at the words appearing for me, you have content specialist, digital marketing executive, head of digital, graphic designer, and postgraduate. So content specialist, that's excellent. I'm very happy with that. Digital marketing executive, that would have been in a previous role. Head of digital, that's brilliant. Graphic designer and postgraduate, they're not really relevant at all to what I do now, but I know where graphic designer is coming from, because in a previous work history that I did, I would have said liaised or coordinated with graphic designers, and I have a postgraduate, so that word is appearing on my profile. And these words change, from week in and week out. You'll see different words here, but not all of them will be relevant. But if you can get kind of core ones that are relevant and you have them appearing consistently week in, week out, then you know you're doing something right. And just a final point on this, content specialist, a lot of people have to have searched for content specialist, and my profile has to have appeared numerous times for this word to appear here. So imagine if you are working in accounts, but your profile has only appeared 7 times and there's no word that it keeps on appearing for, then this section will be blank. But this is a really, really good reflection of what state your optimization is in, and is it relevant for what you do now? Or are there words appearing for previous jobs that you did and you're trying to kind of move away from those sections? So I would strongly suggest that you keep an eye on this section every week and that you have a little look at where your searches work, what your searches do, and what keywords you're appearing for. So that's it for this section. So I have a couple of questions for you now after looking at those parts of the keywords. So number 1, does your current headline reflect everything that you do, all the skills and all the experience that you have? Number 2, are you selling yourself and your abilities to the max? Number 3, you are way more than the default setting. So you're so much more than your job title and your company. And number 4, your headline needs to be a combination of your keywords, and some people like to use their current job title or their desired, and it has to have a bit of your story as well, and we have to fit all of that into 120 characters. And lastly, please remember to just keep it updated and in line with your career as well. So now I want you to do a task, and I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen. And next I want you to write down a list of your keywords, but I'm going to give you some help around this. So firstly, I want you to think of all your industry kind of buzzwords, the cool words in your industry. I want you to think of all your strengths. What do you like doing in your job? I want you to think of all your skills that you've built up over the years, and soft skills. So are you really good at interpersonal communication? And lastly, think about just practical elements of your experience that you've built up over the years. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a big list, maybe about 15 to 20 words. And we're not going to overthink it now by any means. It's literally just writing a list of, if we could get 15 to 20 words, that'd be great. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Now, I want you to take a look at that big list that you've written. And I want you to circle all the words that you think best reflect you, where you're at now in your career and where you'd like to be. Next, I want you to write a very short 4 to 5 word headline. So thinking about what you like doing in your role, or what you would like to do if you're not currently working, and where you want to go next with your career. And we're just going to write a really short 120 character headline, and I'm going to show you how to update that next. Okay, so now you have your lovely 120 character headline that we're just going to use for now. And I'm going to show you how to update your headline. So what we need to do is we have to go to Me, and now we go to View Profile. So we can see that there, View Profile, it's a blue link. So we click on that. And next we're looking for another little blue pencil. So we're going to click on the blue pencil here. That's just to the right of the More box. And the screen changes to this screen, and what we're looking for is the headline box, which is just here. So what I'd like you to do is to copy your headline, and obviously you've written that in a Microsoft Word document or in a Google Doc, and that's stored somewhere safe. And you need to copy and paste that in here. So so you might have your headline, and then you pop your new headline in, and always just keep a little eye on the word count underneath. So I have one character left to play around with, but I've packed a lot into my headline. So when you're ready, you paste your headline in, and next we just hit save. And that's it. And that's how we update our headline. So when you hit save, always just take a little look and make sure that you're happy with how it looks. Do you need to change anything around? Do you need to move words, more important words, to the start of your headline? Because remember, when you post something, it cuts out about 50% of your headline. So always have all the really good stuff kind of front loaded. So take a little look, and if you're very happy, then congratulations, you have updated your headline. So next we're going to look at how to update our location if we want on our LinkedIn profile. So what we need to do is we have to go to our own personal profiles. So we go me, and then we click on view profile. And we're looking for the little blue pencil. And we click on that, and we scroll down, and we're looking for zip code here. So in Ireland, we can use our air code. And what we need to do is we go off and we find our air code. And I'm using the GPO in Cork City. So you paste in your zip code, and then underneath this box will appear then, and it says locations within this area. So you click the drop down menu, and I'm going to choose County Cork just because Cork, Munster, Ireland. I'm not quite too sure, having your province in there, so I'm just going to say County Cork, Ireland. And then I scroll down and I look for the big blue save box down in the bottom right hand corner, and I click save. And can you see there? County Cork, Ireland now is appearing in my profile at the very top. So we do this for a couple of reasons. So firstly, I'm going to show you later, when we're looking for people on LinkedIn search, we can refine by location. So a lot of recruiters, if they have a job in Cork, they will look in County Cork first. Now, of course, they will kind of broaden outside of that, but their first port of call, like the path of least resistance, is to look for the exact location first. So if you are job seeking, and if you are very specific about working in a certain location, this can actually work in your favour. However, the other option is that if you are working perhaps in sales and you travel quite a bit and you don't want to have a specific county location, you don't have to do this step. You can skip this step. But the third thing I would say is you never know what kind of impact changing your location will have. It could have a very positive impact. So what you could do is you could find the air code of your office location. I'm not suggesting you use your home location, and use your office location and pop it in here, and maybe leave it in here for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, and see does it have any impact in the volume of people looking at your personal profile, the number of connection requests that you're getting, and also the views, the number of searches that you're appearing in every week. So it's really simple, really quick to do. Find your zip code or your air code and pop it in the location box and hit save, and that's it. You got your location updated. The featured section on LinkedIn is a really cool new section where we can add in links, or we can add in media to showcase our work. So you can feature posts that you've created or articles that you've published on LinkedIn, and different types of media like images, documents, and links, for example, YouTube links. And you can include as many samples of your work as you want, and you can manage what you'd like to feature by adding or removing the content at any time. So I'm going to take you through the steps now on how to add one of your most recent posts to the featured section. So you can see here that we have a few posts already, but let's say I want to add something that I've recently posted. So here is an example of one of my recent posts, and I was doing a webinar and I took a selfie. So if I want to add this into the featured section, it's really simple. I click on the 3 dots in the top right hand corner of the post. And then can you see the first option, the star, feature on top of profile. So I click that. And down here on your left, it says the item has been featured on your profile, see featured. So I click see featured, and there you go. Now the post appears on my profile. So what we can also do is feature perhaps like a YouTube link or another piece of media, and we have to do this via links. So on this, I'm just going to copy the YouTube link. I'm going to pop back into my profile, and I'm going to look for the blue plus symbol. So pop that in, and then I can choose from posts, articles, links, or media. Now, see the way with media, it says upload photos, documents, presentations. So I'm going to go for links because I have a YouTube link. So type or paste a link to the file or to the video. And I'm going to click add. And it has automatically pulled the thumbnail image and the title and the description from the YouTube video. Now see, it's cut off a bit of the words, so I'm just going to go like that. Just scroll down, check everything. That looks really good. I could put in a lot more text here if I wanted to, but just for demo purposes, I'll keep this nice and short and sweet. And I hit save. And now video is in there under featured. So let's say I want to remove that video. So all I have to do is click the blue pencil to edit. And then I just choose delete. This cannot be undone, that's fine. So click delete, and that's it. I'm going to click done, and it's easy as that. So that is how we add a new piece of content, media, or we feature a post on the new featured section on LinkedIn. Now we're going to look at the About section in our personal profiles. So we're going to look at what exactly is the About section, what should I write in there, and how do I sell my skills and my experience. So the About section, it's just like a cover letter for your CV. So this is where you begin to show a bit of personality. You can talk a lot more about your skills and your experience, but you can also talk about what you would like to do. So if you're not currently working, you can actually say, this is who I'd like to work for, these are the types of roles I'd like. But you can also talk about personal achievements, and you can sell your skills and your experience a lot more here. So you can write sentences. I've used a lot of bullet points. For me, I'm just quite conscious of like the mobile phone screen as well. And then down at the end, I have just email me here instead of contacting me through LinkedIn Messenger. And I also say there's free blogs and LinkedIn advice on my website as well. So for you, what do you need to put in there? So I have a bit of advice and I have a few tips here. So the first point is we need to sell, we need to promote, and we need to inform using 2,000 characters, including spaces. So my suggestions are that you would start off with perhaps your current position if you are working, or your current course, or the skills that you have gained. Next, you can talk about your responsibilities if you are working, or your previous responsibilities. You can talk about any achievements or any significant projects that you've worked on. And now we're getting a bit salesy. So you can tell people what you are interested in and what you can do for them. And you need to give them a reason to contact you. And lastly, you can be very clear and you can say who you would love to hear from. So if you would like to work for a tech company, or if you would like to work for a pharmaceutical company, you can say that at the end of your About section. Really interested in hearing from tech companies, pharma companies, whatever it is. And lastly, I always suggest that you write your headline in a Word document, or perhaps you could even save it in a draft email. And there's a few reasons for this. So number one, you should always have a second copy of your About content saved somewhere else. And secondly, there's no way to add in bullet points into LinkedIn other than bringing it in from an external source. So there's no like editing bar or menu or anything like that to bring in italics or bullet points. So if you want to chop up your About section into easily digestible bullet points, write them in an external document and copy and paste them back in. So your summary is actually quite important for kind of fleshing out your personality a bit more, and it really is a key tool in defining who you are, what you're all about, what your personal brand is, and let your personality jump off the page to a potential recruiter or to a potential employer. I'm going to show you how to edit your headline now. So to edit your About section, it's really easy. We have to go to your own personal profile, and then we scroll down, or we're looking for the About headline, and then we look for the blue pencil. So we click on the blue pencil. Now, it's still called summary. It used to be called personal summary, but they've renamed it now to the About section. And you can see that the box, it's not that easy really to use. So that's why I always prefer to write it in a separate document and copy and paste it back in. So you can see you have about a lot of text here. I've used my bullet points to kind of break it up, and I have my two little kind of caveats down here at the bottom. So it's completely up to you what you write in your About section, but all you do is you copy and paste it, you bring it back in here, and then the usual, you look for the save button in the bottom right hand corner, and we hit save, and then that's what our About section looks like. So that's it. That's just a couple of tips on why you need quite a strong About section, what it can do in helping you jump off the page, and how it can help sell you and your experience and your personal brand to recruiters or talent acquisition executives or potential employers. And we also need to be mindful of bullet points. We have to use an external document to bring in bullet points. So really simple, really quick, and I suggest you spend a bit of time on your About section because you'll reap the rewards if you do. So that's it for the About section. So next we're going to look at your entire work history or experience section in LinkedIn. And as a job seeker or a career changer, this section is really, really important. So what does this whole section look like? So if we are on your profile, we have to scroll down past the dashboard, past articles and activity, and then we come to experience. Now you can put as much or as little in this section as you want. But before we get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about why your work history is so important and selling your credibility. So I like to look at these 4 areas. So number 1, we're always wondering, what's your background? So I used to sit with about up to 60 recruiters. I wasn't a recruiter myself, but I did work in a recruitment agency in the online marketing team. And from sitting with 60 recruiters and hearing them on the phone all day long, you begin to pick up a lot of tips, and you begin to hear a lot of the same phrases over and over again. So what they're really interested in is, what's your background? So like your kind of journey from where you started all the way to what you're doing now. Did you work in like different locations? What different companies did you work with? What skills or experience, and what courses you've done. So they're kind of looking at like the big overall picture there. And then the next one is, where did you gain your experience? So here they're looking for the types of companies that you worked for. Like, are there any big brand names standing out on your CV? Then they like to look at what you've achieved. So again, a recruiter is always looking to see what makes you better and different, and they want to send over really strong CVs to their clients. So if you have achieved anything of significance or anything that you're quite proud of work-wise, we can add that into your LinkedIn profile. And then lastly, personal branding. What's your story, or what's your narrative? So again, I would always hear them say that every CV tells a story. And we need to kind of look at your personal branding, your narrative, your story, regardless of what's happened in your past career history. And we need to be able to show that and reflect your journey throughout your LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to show you how to do all of this now shortly. So there's a couple of really practical elements. So I'm just going to go to my current job, So obviously, like, I'm self-employed, but the first thing I want to show you is your job title. So for example, you can see that I have kind of a lot going on in my job title. I have LinkedIn trainer, I have online one-to-one training, digital marketing strategy speaker, and I have the word Ireland. So I've put in that because I know it's quite important for search engine optimization. And basically through the bullet points, I'm just showing my core business service offerings that I do at the moment. And then down at the further towards the end of that listing, you can see I've added in where I was a finalist for a couple of different awards. So again, what's going to make you stand out and what's going to make you better and different. But I'm also going to show you one of my previous roles where I worked in-house. And this role where I was the global online marketing specialist. And a recruiter had given me a bit of advice around this back when I was looking for work a couple of years ago. And the first thing is I kind of have a mini or a longer headline up here. So you can see I have global online marketing specialist responsible for website build projects, managing bugs, quick fixes using Scrum, Agile and Kanban. So I knew that my profile had to stand out to recruiters who specialize in marketing and digital marketing, but also people who deal a bit with online project management. So I have used quite like industry jargon heavy language in here because I want to use kind of industry language to straight away make my profile jump off the page and kind of show how comfortable I am with this terminology. So you can see I have SEO here, SEO strategy, and I also have PPC, pay-per-click, which is just another word, let's say, for Google AdWords and for like online advertising. So underneath I have where I was a finalist for a couple of different awards. Again, something of note, what's going to make you stand out. And then the next part that I did, and a recruiter also gave me this advice, where you have a lot of maybe 4 to 5 kind of broad areas that you're responsible for, that you would write a little subheading up here at the top. So for example, you have websites and project management, but underneath you need to have bullet points which like back up and prove all of the experience that you have under that subheading. So for example, for me, you have websites and you have project management, but you can also see that I had responsibility for 17 plus global websites. I worked with team members across all those countries, and I project managed new website builds, new website additions and external client websites using Scrum, Agile and Jira Confluence. I've done the same underneath for like Google Tools, SEO and Google AdWords. And then I've done the same down below then for blogging, content, LinkedIn and social media. So for you, for whatever role that you have currently or that you've had in the past, there's an awful lot that you can do in the work history section to sell your skills and your experience. But you just always have to be mindful of who's looking at your profile. So we always have to be aware of the really, really busy recruiter or the busy talent acquisition person, or perhaps if you want to work for a smaller company, it could be just a general HR manager, or it could be the managing director of that small to medium enterprise. So I just want you to be mindful that there's an awful lot that you can do using your keywords in how to sell your skills and your experience in your work history section. And next I'm going to show you if you want to edit a current job. It's really simple. As per usual, you just click on the blue pencil, give it a second or two and the screen will change. So you have your job title, you have your company, you have your location. If you're currently working in this role, your start date, and you can choose to update your headline, which obviously I wouldn't suggest that you do because we've done a lot of work on that. And then down here you have description. So as per usual, write your description in a separate document, especially if you want your bullet points, and copy and paste it back in. So that's if you want to edit a current job. And if you want to add in a brand new job, so we look for the blue plus, and you can add in your job title, your company, your location. Are you currently working in this role? Or if it was a previous role in the past, So maybe it was a role from like January, let's say 2010 to January 2012. And this will slot in now. LinkedIn will automatically slot that back into your previous work history. As per usual, write your job description in, or write your roles, responsibilities, use all your keywords in a separate document, copy and paste it in. You can upload media if you want. So I have like a presentation that I did and I have another document. So it's really simple. You can just upload or you can link to it. And then as per usual, bottom right hand corner, you click save, and then your new job has been added into LinkedIn. So I would suggest that you spend a good bit of time on this part of LinkedIn, because what you put in here, you'll get back. And it's actually really, really important for the recruiters and for all the HR people. So I have just a little list here of tips and a task that I'd like you to do. So number one, what's going to look impressive to who you want to influence? So you could have a huge career history and it might be really difficult to put in all of your jobs, all of your work history in there. But who do you want to influence? Who's going to make the decision on to give you a job or not? So I would start with looking at all your experience and kind of pulling out those elements. Secondly, what makes you better and different to everybody else? And this might be a bit strange, but you have to look from yourself almost like from the outside in, as if you're a product or a service or a brand. Next, why should I believe you? So you say you've worked in online project management, but show me, back it up, prove it. Next, you need to sell your experience and your knowledge. And of course, you have to remember those key words. So yes, we have to influence the human, we have to influence hearts and minds, but LinkedIn is one big giant search engine, so we always have to remember our keywords. I think you shouldn't be afraid to show some personality, just a little bit. Next, no waffle or no kind of a lot of internal jargon or acronyms, because that actually can be, quite confusing for the reader. And remember that your LinkedIn profile needs to be the same as your CV, but it can be longer on LinkedIn. So just be mindful that your dates match, job titles match, that your core elements of the work history section on LinkedIn is the same as that on your CV. Next, remember it takes time to build out your entire work history. And I love this phrase that many drops make a river. So I would start with my current role and I would perfect that, and then I would work backwards. So that's what I'd like you to do now, is to look at your current role and kind of perfect that in all the different ways using your keywords, and then maybe pick off a role then, maybe one job a week for the next few weeks, depending on what you want to put into your work history. So guys, that's that done for your whole work history. Really important, and make sure you just devote a lot of time to this section, because the more you put into this, the more you're going to get back. So recommendations versus endorsements. So do you remember when endorsements were all the rage a couple of years ago? That when LinkedIn came out first, that every time you opened up LinkedIn, you would either be asked to give somebody an endorsement for a certain skill, or that you would have received one in return from somebody else. So endorsements, they weren't really that genuine, because you could endorse anybody for any skill and you don't necessarily ever have met them in the past, but yet you're still saying that they're great at talent management. So now endorsements, they still live on LinkedIn profiles, but they've been moved to skills and endorsements, and they've kind of been combined in that section there. So you can see here that the endorsements still exist, but they have been combined with skills and endorsements, and they don't take up as much space as they used to, let's just say that. However, for me, the really important part of LinkedIn are recommendations. And in this section of the video, I'm going to show you how to either ask for a recommendation or how to give a recommendation. So recommendations, what exactly is a recommendation? So according to LinkedIn, a recommendation is a statement that is written by a LinkedIn member to recognize or commend a connection, such as a colleague, business partner, or a student. So what I found is that you do have to be first degree connections with whoever you're looking to get your connection request from. Secondly, and in some cases, the recommendation section only appears after you give or you receive a recommendation. Only one recommendation can be sent to each person in your network. So what that means is that I can only ask, let's say one of my clients, I can only ask them once through LinkedIn. And if they choose not to give me a recommendation through LinkedIn, I can't keep on asking them and pinging them the request week in, week out. And lastly, there is no limit to the number of recommendations you can request or that you can give. So you should aim to get as many genuine recommendations as you can, because I've found that they've actually proven to be quite powerful. So next I'm going to take you through a couple of different steps on how to request a recommendation. So the first thing is that you need to go to the profile of the person that you want to connect with. So I'm just going to use a friend of mine as an example. So you go to their profile, and remember you have to be a first degree connection with that person. And what you need to look for is the more box. So we need to go look for more, and then when we click on that, there's a load of different options actually under more. You can choose to share the person's profile, save to PDF, give kudos. This is the one we want, request a recommendation. You can also recommend that person. You can unfollow them, you can remove the connection, or if you need to, you can report or block. But today, thankfully, we are going to request a recommendation. So we go up to request a recommendation and you click, and then you get this box and it says ask this person to recommend you and help us personalize your request. So the first thing you have to do is you have to say, how do you know this person? So under relationship, when you click the options, there's a load of them. And I suppose they're trying to cater for perhaps students who are in college, students and lecturers, and then people who work together, and then people who didn't work together, such as like clients. So for example, it could be this person managed you directly, they reported directly to you, they were senior. So there's a whole load of different options here. But I'll just say I worked with this person in the same group. And then next you select the position at the time. So this pulls from your entire LinkedIn profile. So it'll pull your education and it'll pull all of your previous jobs. So let's say I'm just going to go for, my current role, like LinkedIn trainer, one-to-one online training. So I'm going to click next. Now, LinkedIn are giving us this default text here, and if you never read any of my blogs, you know that I never use any of the standard default wording that LinkedIn gives. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that. I'll just write in a little note here saying hi, and I'm just going to say let's say they attended one of my workshops and we got on great and they've got loads of value out of the training, and I know that they'd be a great recommendation to have on my profile. So I'm just going to write a quick little message, nothing too long, and I'm just going to quickly word up just a really nice way of asking for my recommendation request. Okay, so there we have it. Really quick, short and sweet little message to request the recommendation. Now, what I would say is that you would always verbally ask the person in advance for the recommendation, because sometimes what I've noticed is that if people don't know to watch out for it and they're quite busy on LinkedIn, that they might miss the connection request coming in under the messages. So next we just click send, and that wings its way over to the individual. And then we get this. So this is what it looks like. It's all done through LinkedIn Messenger. So this is an example that I would have sent to somebody previously. And it says, "Hi Owen, thanks for coming along to the training today. Would you mind writing me a quick recommendation whenever you get a chance? Many thanks, Louise." So you can see I use pretty standard wording when I'm asking for the recommendation. So Owen gets a link then to the recommendation. It's all done through LinkedIn. So he clicks on that blue link, he writes his recommendation, he hits send, and then I get this message. So Owen sent you a recommendation. View the recommendation. So then I click that link, and you can see the recommendation is still pending because I haven't approved it yet. It doesn't sit on my profile because it's not been approved. So you read through the recommendation. Let's say for some reason you don't like it. You can choose to dismiss. You can maybe perhaps ask for a revision. So sometimes if there's a typo or if people misspell my name, I just have to click this button, go back to them and say, thanks very much for the recommendation. It's great. I just spotted a little typo. Would you mind correcting that before I add to my profile? And then the last option is, if you're very happy with it and it ticks all the boxes, then you click add to profile. And then that's how it appears on your profile. So just in summary, recommendations are really, really powerful, and they're not employer references. They can come from anybody. They can come from somebody you worked with previously, somebody you're currently working with, or a client or somebody that you've done a bit of work with, or somebody that you were in college with. And when you're asking for the recommendation request, please just remember to ask them verbally in advance so that they know to watch out for when it's coming. And when it's pending, it doesn't appear on your profile. Another thing we have to be aware of when it comes to recommendation requests and recommendations in general is that you always control what appears on your recommendation section. So if you click the little blue pencil just up here, can you see the way for this one? I can ask for a revision, or I can show, or I can hide. So why would you want to hide a recommendation from somebody? Well, maybe you don't get along too well anymore, or maybe, they've kind of closed down their business and they've moved on, or they're doing something else, or for whatever reason, you just don't feel that it's relevant to have on your profile. So you are always in control of what appears on your recommendation section. Also, if you have given a recommendation to somebody, again, you're always in control of that. So again, let's say something happens between the two of you and you no longer want your recommendation appearing on their profile. You can choose to delete the entire thing, or you can choose to revise the wording. And then if you click visible, it can be visible only to you, or it could be only to your connections. But I always go for public, because that means anybody who's looking at this person's profile, whether they find it on Google and they're not connected, that recommendation is always public. But again, it's up to you. It depends on your internal kind of temperature settings. So those are just a couple of things to bear in mind when it comes to asking for recommendations. If you really want to stand out from the crowd, and if you want to differentiate your personal brand, recommendations are an absolutely fantastic way of going about and doing that. So go forth and seek your recommendations, and make sure you try and get as many of them on your profile as you can. So we're going to look now at adding a new profile section on your LinkedIn profile. So to find this, we need to go to Me, and then we go to View Profile. And we're looking for the blue box just there, and that says Add Profile Section. So we click the drop down menu, and then we get a couple of different options. So if we work through them, so intro. So LinkedIn will tell you, it says, Louise, your intro is looking good. You can check out other sections to add to your profile. The next one is About. So we would have done this in another section, and it's telling me, looking good, Louise, the section is complete. And then if we go to Background, this is where you can add in a couple of more elements. So you can add in directly from here, it's a little shortcut, you can add in like work experience. If you have a piece of education that you want to add in, you can pop it in there. If you have any licenses or certifications, you can showcase your expertise with your credentials. And then if you have any voluntary experience, you can add that in here as well. If you want to add in a couple of different skills, you can do that as well. So for example, I would have 40 skills on my profile. So I'm going to click the new button here. And it's telling me I can add up to 10 more skills. So I'm going to put in LinkedIn training. I put it in and now these are giving me some more suggested skills based off my profile. So I can put in like marketing campaigns, I can put in creative fiction, blogger. So you need to click add. And then your skills, they appear. So your skills now appear down here in this section. So if we click show more, so you're listing all your skills, and then you're hoping that other people will endorse you for those skills. So just a little shortcut. And then there's two other elements here I want to show you, which is the first one is accomplishments. So if we expand on that, there's actually an awful lot that you can fit into this section. So if you have any publications, or if you have any published work, that can go in here. If you have any patents, if you have any courses, you can list coursework from your prior or your continuing education. Projects, a lot of people may add them in here. This big one, if you have honours or awards, so if you've been nominated for an award, or if you've luckily won an award, you can go put that in here. Test scores, if you excelled in an exam, you can list your test scores. But a really good one is languages. So in Ireland especially, we're always looking for people with European languages. So if you want to add in a language, it's really easy. You just click the plus button and then you pop in whatever language that you have. So let's say, I'm going to say I can speak a bit of German, and then I might put in, let's say, like limited working proficiency. And just down here it says, we no longer share changes to languages with your network. Before, if you made any changes to languages on your profile, a little note would appear in the newsfeed, whereas now that doesn't. So if you're happy, again, the usual bottom right hand corner, you click save. And there's just one more option here that I want to show you, and it says, similar to the other one, it says supported languages, but the key difference here is that you can have a bilingual profile. So you can have your profile, let's say if you are a French native and you're in an English speaking country, you can have your profile in English, but you can also have your profile in French as well. So then it gives you the option to create your profile in another language. So you just fill out the necessary details, and then LinkedIn will do the rest of the work for you. So really handy little section to, again, beef up your profile an awful lot, to move away from that traditional, like, these are all the jobs, this is my experience, these are all the things that I've done, this published work that I've had, these are my language skills. So again, it's all these little elements that help you build up your LinkedIn profile and help you to be better and different to everybody else out there, and to show off exactly what you can bring to a company. So I would suggest that you work down through that section and that you fill out whatever you can and whatever you feel is most relevant. Well done! So we've covered the entire A to Z of the personal profile section. So there were 9 whole areas, and a quick summary of the section is as follows. So really we need to look at how to sell and how to define your personal brand and how to build trust throughout this whole 9 areas. Just remember that the cover image is a free personal branding tool, and we did a quick demo on how to update that. Make sure that your contact information is always correct and check your email address that's listed there. Does your photograph look professional? And does it even look like you do now? You can show some personality in the About section, and I would highly recommend that you kind of loosen up a little bit there and that you sell yourself a bit more in that section. And as we discussed, keywords are so influential, like for many different reasons. And you can find your keywords from your personal skills, from your experience, what you would like to do in your next role, and also the keyword tool that LinkedIn give you, and also job descriptions as well are a great source of keywords. But just remember that your keywords, they're fluid and that they change over time and they move and they develop as your career grows and changes over time. Your work history section is really important, and this should reflect your CV. It sells your credibility, and it really defines your career narrative or your career journey over the years. And also remember your keywords throughout your roles as well. And your keywords are really important for your job title. And your job title can be anything. Like, as I showed you, my job title was director initially, and now it's a whole host of things, but they influence the Google search rankings and LinkedIn as well. Also remember that formatting is really, really important because 60% of use is through mobile. So we don't want any big chunky paragraphs or texts. We love to see bullet points in our work history. And recommendations are incredibly powerful, but recommendations are not employer references. Recommendations can come from former colleagues, current colleagues, or a client that you worked with in the past. It can be absolutely anybody, but they're really important. And lastly, if you have time, you can add in other relevant sections like accomplishments or publications or anything like that. And this whole section of your LinkedIn profile, just spend time working on it. Pick off little bits and do them one at a time. And just remember that many drops make a river. But if you sit down and try and do it all in one go, it'll just be too much and you'll just get really annoyed and frustrated and you won't go near it again. So pick off little bits and do them one at a time, and gradually over time you'll build up a really strong personal profile that you'll be really proud of. So next I'm going to show you how to run a search using the free search options in LinkedIn. So the first thing that we do is we need to activate the search box. So the search box never changes no matter whether you're on the newsfeed or whether you're on the personal profile on LinkedIn. And the search box is just up here. It's normally up to the left beside the blue LinkedIn icon. So what we need to do, we click on that to activate it. And then we scroll down to the first one where it says people, and we double click on that. So when we arrive on this page, it shows us a variety of things. It shows us our connections, and it also shows us perhaps people who went to the same university or third level institute that we did. But what we need to look for is this button here, all filters. And sometimes a lot of people don't actually kind of realize that this button exists because I suppose it doesn't really pop out, it kind of fades into the background. So I'm going to click all filters, and then we get a load of filtering options then. And this is free. This is it's not extra like on the premium plan. This is available to anybody on the free plan. So there's a load of different options that we can work from. So you have locations, you have current companies, past companies, industries. If you have friend in common, you could write in their name as well. But if we scroll down to the end, like you have schools, but also at the very end, which are the best boxes if you ask me, your first name, last name, job title, which is really important, company, and then school. And that's free text. You can just write in whatever you want in there. So for example, you're looking for a job at the moment. So what I'm going to write in is I'm going to just write in the job title. So talent acquisition, it's more relevant nowadays than, let's say, HR if you're looking for a job. And now I'm going to hit apply. And because I had such a broad search title, you can see that I've got 223,573 results. But that's everybody, like all over the world, because I didn't specify location. But I just want to show you the width of the searching that's there. So then we go back into all filters, and now I'm just going to refine by country. So I'm going to click Ireland. I'm going to refine by Ireland. And it's brought it back down to 877. So that's much better. And now I'm going to refine again, because I'm very specific on the industry that I want to work for. And let's say I want to work in internet. So I'm going to click internet. And just a reminder, I have job title is talent acquisition, internet, and location is Ireland. And I hit apply, and now I get 50 results. So what I can do next is I can go down by these one by one, and there's somebody now who works at PayPal, and let's say I'd love to work in that company. So what I can do is I can connect with this individual, and we're going to cover connections in another section of this course. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to use the All Filters button to refine and to search for people of influence. So that's one way of doing it, by using job title. But another way we can do it is to search for the company and then refine by employee. But before we do that, we just need to clear all the filters, because sometimes these filters can influence other searches. So what I always do is I just clear it and make sure we start from scratch. Now, in the search box, I'm going to write in, let's say, another company that's quite big in the world, Airbnb. So I'm going to type it in, and I'm just going to, you can hit return. And I want to look for the company. Now this is showing me everybody who works at Airbnb, but I want to find the company. So what I do is I go to people. So I go to people, and then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to click on companies. And there it is. So you're looking for Airbnb, and then the industry that they've tagged themselves is internet. So I'm going to click on the title, and this is their company page. But what I'm looking for is the number of employees that they have. So if I can see 13,049 employees on LinkedIn. So this link is clickable, so I click that. And straight away I can see that there's 12,660. But I'm going to use my All Filters button here. And let's say I only want people maybe working in Ireland. And then I'm going to scroll all the way down, and job title, I'm going to use maybe just talent, just to see what happens. And I click apply, and I have 3. Now that doesn't seem to be an awful lot for Airbnb. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to All Filters, and instead of searching again and again using different job titles, I'm going to use a little bit of Boolean search. So I'm going to put in the word or, and I'm going to put in recruitment, or let's say HR. So that's kind of like the full spectrum there, and I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to click apply. Now I have 11 results. And you can see I have talent development and recruitment. I have senior talent operations, and the recruitment manager, and the recruitment coordinator. So I still have a few HR roles coming up as well. So to show you again how that works, we just go to Airbnb, And then you're looking for the number of employees. You click on the blue link, and then we go to all filters and we filter using whatever elements that we want. And that's it. That's how you use that really great all filters tool on LinkedIn to find people of influence who can either help you change careers or get back into the workplace, or who can influence maybe somebody to look at your CV or to look at your LinkedIn profile. So there is a limit on the amount of searches that you can do for people on the free plan. Sometimes you'll see a little warning and it'll say you were approaching the commercial use limit. It's only ever happened to me once, but if that does happen to you, you have to wait until the start of the next month, because then the commercial use limit will reset back to 0 again. But it'll happen rarely, I'd say, for you if you're not working in like a full-time sales role. So that's how we use all filters, and I think you should have a little play around with it and look at all the different combinations of job titles, locations and companies that you want to work for. So personalizing a connection request. When we're adding somebody that we don't know, flattery is best. And so for this, we always need to add in a short, personalized note when sending a connection request to explain why you would like to connect. And this will definitely increase your chances of your connection request being accepted. So when we want to connect with an individual on desktop, we go to their LinkedIn profile. And what you're looking for is the blue connect button. We click on this connect button and then we get this box. It says you can customize this invitation. LinkedIn members are more likely to accept invitations that include a personal note. Now I think that in my case, about 99% of my connection requests that I get from other people, they never add a note. And if this happens, it means they have clicked send now. But for everybody on this course, I want you to hit add a note this time and every time now in the future. And I think you will be in the tiny percentage of people who actually go that extra step and they add a note. So we click add a note and we just type in a very short and sweet message. Now, if you're connecting with somebody you've never met, it might feel a bit strange at the start, but really this is what we do on LinkedIn. We grow our network and we connect people that are either in similar industries or people who we think that we might like to influence. So in my messages, very short and sweet, you only have 300 characters to use and there's no cell, and you can't input an website address either because they think it's spam. So in my one it says, hi, the person's name, I came across your LinkedIn profile on LinkedIn, and as we work in similar industries, I'd like to connect on LinkedIn. And I just go, many thanks, Louise. So short and sweet. So next we hit send invitation, and then that wings its way to the individual. And chances are, because we have put in a little note, that there is a higher chance then that they will accept our connection request, even if they're like a random stranger and we've never met them, but we would like to stay connected to them on LinkedIn. So really quickly and simply, that's how we send a connection request on desktop. So now we're going to look really quickly at how to connect with a personalized connection request on mobile. So you find the person's account that you want to connect with, and instead of going straight for the blue and white connect button like we would on desktop, on mobile we go to more and then we go to personalize invite. So it's just one extra step. And then it's the same thing. We put in our personalized note. We only have 300 characters. We don't sell or we don't put in a link or anything like that. And that's it. That's how you send a connection request on mobile. now we're going to look at using a really cool tool in LinkedIn for connecting when we're out and about, and they are called QR codes. So it's only available on mobile. So on your mobile, using the LinkedIn app, we need to go to the search bar, and then can you see these 4 boxes here on the extreme right hand side of the search bar? So using your finger, we need to tap on those little boxes. And then as soon as you do that, your screen will change to this. And basically you have 2 options. You have scan, and then you have my code. So if we tap my code, this is your own personal QR code. So let's say you're at a networking event and you get chatting to somebody beside you, and they might have a name that's a bit unusual, or you find it a bit difficult to spell, and you don't really want to kind of look them up on LinkedIn there and then, because you're going to have to ask them how to spell their name. Instead, what you could do is you could ask them to scan your QR code. So one person has the QR code, and then another person hits scan, and then you just scan the QR code and it brings you to that person's profile. Now, I want to be very clear on this. It does not connect with the individual. So sometimes when I'm training, I'll hear somebody say, oh, I've already connected to the person sitting beside me. I don't need to scan their QR code. It doesn't send a connection request. All it does is that it finds that person's profile. So if they have an unusual name, or if you're kind of in a hurry and you can't find them with one search on LinkedIn, just get out the QR code. You can also download the QR code, and you can save it to your gallery, or you can share the code. So what I have is I have the QR code at the bottom of my emails. So in case anybody knows how to work this function and using the scan button, they can scan the QR code and come directly to my profile. So it's really quick, really handy. One person has my code, one person has scan, and it's just a great way of finding another person's profile quickly, easily, and simply. So I would encourage you all to use the QR code whenever you get a chance. Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. So my name is Louise Bunyan of smartfox.ie, and I'm delighted you signed up to this short course on the open to work setting. So what exactly is the open to work setting? Well, there's actually 2 elements to it, and the first element is that green badge that appears around your photograph and the list of jobs, locations, and type of work that you're seeking underneath. So that is option A, and that's available to all LinkedIn members. And then we have option B, which is only available to recruiters. So why would you turn on this setting? Well, I was watching a LinkedIn story by Ryan Roslansky, who's the current CEO of LinkedIn. And somebody asked him this question: is it true I'm less likely to get a job if I turn on #OpenToWork? Because sometimes there is this feeling that if you're actively job seeking and if you're really putting it out there, that recruiters, might dismiss you a little bit, but that would have perhaps had some grain of truth in it many years ago. But nowadays, and especially with the impact of COVID and the explosion in remote working and, people actively seeking jobs because perhaps they've lost their job as a result of COVID, thankfully, LinkedIn have come out with this stat now saying that you are 40% more likely to get a recruiter message with #OpenToWork turned on. So today I'm going to take you through all the steps on how to set up whether you want to go for option A or option B and the differences between either of them, how to edit and update this anytime that you want, and then if you want to remove it from your profile, how you go about doing that. Okay, to get started, we go to our own personal profiles. And LinkedIn make it really easy now to add this setting. It was a bit more complicated before they made their updates. So what we're looking for this blue button that says Open To. And we click the drop down arrow and we have 2 options, hiring share that you're hiring and attract qualified candidates. So that's not for us today. But what we're looking for is finding a job. Show recruiters and others that you're open to work. So we click that. And next we get this screen and it says add job preferences. So tell us what kind of work you're open to. And there is a couple of different sections. So the first one is job titles. The next one is job locations. We've start date, we've job types, and then down at the end, who sees you're open. So I'm going to take you through each of these now step by step. So job titles. This is compulsory, it's got the little blue star beside it. So what kind of job titles are you after? So I'm in the digital marketing space, so I'm going to add in a few different types of job titles, and you can add up to 5, and I would highly recommend that you do add as many as you can, because I'll show you now why it's really important that we think of like different types of variances of job title that are out there for us. So we click on the plus symbol and then I'm just going to type in digital marketing. And so we're given a list then of all the various options. So let's say I'll go digital marketing director, digital marketing manager, digital marketing specialist. But also, you know, when we're in digital marketing, there are other terms as well. So like online would be quite a big one. So I might put in online marketing manager, and I could put in another one as well if I wanted to. So just have a good think about all the different types of variances. So for example, project manager could be PM, or it could be, they could actually say the words like project manager. So the next one then is job locations. So there's actually a remote button here as well. So I'm just going to tick that just because nowadays, thankfully, most people are open to remote work. So it knows from my location already that I'm in County Cork. So let's say I'm happy to go to Dublin as well. And let's say, you know, Limerick would be quite close. Limerick City would be quite close to me as well. Those are those options, and you can add in a couple more locations as well if you want. You don't have to by any means, and actually the more specific that you are and the clearer you are on your boundaries, you know, physical boundaries of how far you want to travel, that's really helpful as well for the recruiters who will see this. So the next section then is start date, and you have 2 options: immediately, I'm actively applying, or flexible, I'm casually browsing. So let's say I'm just going to click immediately, but it's totally up to you. There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. And the next option then is job types. So they've given us these job types to choose from. So let's say I'm quite open to contract roles and I'm quite open to temporary roles. So we just click them to highlight them. And by the way, if you ever want to get rid of something, you just click on it as well, and that'll remove it. But if you're, let's say, a student perhaps, or you know, you for whatever reason you don't want a full-time role, you know, you tick on the part-time option and tick on the internship option as well, whichever is relevant to you. Now, it might be really tempting to go straight to add to profile, but don't do that, because you have to decide who sees that you're open first. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the drop down arrow here. And so there's 2 options that I mentioned at the start of the video. There's option A, which is all LinkedIn members. So this includes absolutely everybody. So for example, recruiters and people at your current company. So this is 100% open. Anybody who lands on your profile will see this. And it also adds the open to work photo frame, the little green badge that I call it, around your picture as well. And then the other option is recruiters only. So there's no green badge around your photograph. And this will only be shown to people who use LinkedIn's recruiter license plan. Underneath here, it says we take steps to not show recruiters at your current company, although we can't guarantee complete privacy. So it's up to you, you know, which option that you want. So I'm just going to take you through what they both look like and what the impact is aesthetically on your profile. So let's say I tick the top button. So we're just going to double check all LinkedIn members. The badge will go on my photograph, and then I'm going to click add to profile. Okay, and so LinkedIn tell us it's been added to your profile. Now, what they want you to do next is they want you to create a post to notify your network that you're open to work. So you have two options here. You can click no thanks, or you can click start a post. You most definitely do not have to post this if you don't want to. But just to show you what it looks like, I'm going to click start a post. And that's it. So they give you the default wording, but anybody who's taken any of my courses, you know how I feel about using default wording that LinkedIn have given us. So I always say delete it and write something really genuine, and take that couple of minutes extra to kind of personalize it, because it just becomes very samey and it's a template people really won't take any notice. So that's it. So you can put in any hashtags that you want, and when you're ready you can click post. So we see now here that the open to work badge has been added, so that's public now to everybody. And then if we go down to this new grey box that has appeared, these are all the details that we have put into the previous box. And if you want to get a closer look, we're going to click see all details. So you have job titles, job location, start date, and job type. So these are everything that we have inputted into that box. And then down at the end, if you look at the little eye symbol, that is telling you who this is visible to. So it's all LinkedIn members. Now, if we want to edit, you can click the blue edit pencil here. But let's say you just land on your profile and you just want to edit it quickly. We click on the pencil as well, the grey pencil here too. So we're back into that box again. As I said, you know, if you want to remove something, just double click on it. Let's say I no longer want to go to Dublin, and let's say I'm no longer looking for temporary role, just contract. I would hit save. But now let's say I also want to change this to recruiters only. So in the next section, I'm just going to take you through the impact that this would have on your profile. Okay, so I'm going to tick recruiters only, and I'm going to hit save. Now this is interesting because this is different to the 100% open option. So it says yes, it's been added to your profile, and then it says next, update your settings to get notified about job opportunities. So it has these two turned on automatically. Turn on email updates, so for jobs, messages, and open to work updates, and turn on notifications for jobs and messages on LinkedIn. So it's totally up to you. If you leave them turned on and you let it go for a few days, you just let that run. It might be a little bit overwhelming, and then if you want to turn them off, that's absolutely fine. There's a section to do that as well. So I'm just going to turn them off manually, and I'm just going to click no thanks. So what does it actually look like then on your profile? So now this is the recruiter only section. So when a recruiter lands on your profile, they get to see this grey box here. It says open to work, digital marketing director, digital marketing specialist, and so on. And you can see here the little eye symbol. We know that this is only available for recruiters. So if ever I want to edit anything or change anything, if I click the blue pencil, or the grey pencil in this case, I can come back in here and I can, change my titles, I can change my job location, whatever I want. I might be flexible, or I don't want any temporary roles. And we hit save then when we're done. But what if I want to take this away? So I just click I'm no longer open, and it'll be like, are you sure? Delete job preferences. You'll no longer be sharing that you're open to work. So I'm going to hit delete. And you can see here then it reverts back to what it looked like when we landed on this page at the very start. If you want to get rid of this, we just click like the little X box there, and it reminds us then to access this option again, select open below. So that's quite cool. So the job section on LinkedIn. So if we want to find that, where we go is up at the very top. We look for the little suitcase and we look for jobs. So click on that, and now we're into the job section of LinkedIn. There's a couple of different elements here, and I'm going to work my way down through them. So the first one is career interests, and that'll take us back to the section that we covered previously in this course. So if you want to edit anything in here, you can go straight to that section using that little shortcut. Then the next one is your dream jobs just a search away. So this is the main function of this page. You can search jobs, and you can also then refine by location, and we're going to get into that shortly. If you have any recent job searches, like they're going to appear here as well, and you can manage your recent job searches. Because you view certain roles on LinkedIn, it's going to try its best to present you with similar roles. So up here it says, because I viewed this job recently, content strategist, B2B at Rattleberry, talent solutions. The algorithm's kicking in now, and now it's showing me senior staff writer, content and campaigns marketing associate, community content manager, marketing, brand design and communications exec, and so on. So that can be quite a good place for you to go, let the algorithm do the work and let it show you similar jobs. But I wouldn't rely 100% on that, because it's just an algorithm at work at the end of the day. If you've chosen to follow certain companies that you're interested in, so for example, I just follow like LinkedIn and Google, any jobs that they think are relevant to me, so any quite like marketing heavy jobs, they're also going to appear here. And then down at the very end it says based on your profile and career interests, so that section we completed in this previous section to this, and it's going to also analyze like all the keywords in your profile. It's going to suggest more jobs here as well. So there's 12 job titles, 2 locations. Because I'm quite specific about Cork, I only get about maybe like 2 jobs here. So you can see, because I've updated where I live and how far I'm willing to commute, you can see here it says there's a 20-minute commute. But beware, because this job was posted 3 weeks ago, but this job was only posted 2 days ago. So that's just a very quick overview of the job section on LinkedIn. Now next we're going to search for a job, and we're going to filter, and we're going to refine a job. So to do that, we click on the search jobs box, and you can see here it says your searches. So it knew that I had searched for marketing strategy recently, but for some reason it's also kind of giving me suggested job titles here, and this is because I have the word online one-to-one training in my job title, in my current job title. But let's say I'm gonna search for like digital marketing. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and the location, I'm just gonna go broad. I'll go Ireland, just to see what's out there. So you can see here that I've got 141 results. There's a couple of promoted ones here up at the top, and then we get into other ones then underneath, and they mostly seem to be in Dublin, although there's one in Cork. Now, instead of me having to scroll down through each one of them and read them one by one, there's a couple of things I can do. It's sorted up here by relevance, but what I could do is that I might go by post date, let's say, because I only want like the most recent ones. So look at that, that's been posted 7 hours ago, that's been posted 12 hours ago, and that's been posted a day ago. And I guess for anybody who is out there, you know, going through your own applications, and if you're going through that process, sometimes the quicker and the sooner you can get your application in for a job, you can make that like strong impression like straight off. So it can be worthwhile to, yes, search by relevance, but also to search by post date. Now if we go over here to all filters, so if you've done the people searching, you'll recognize this. So we have all filters up here, and you'd almost miss it because it kind of blends into the background. So I always use the all filters button. And when we expand on that, can you see all the options that we get under this button? It's incredible. So I think one of the most important ones is date posted. So you can refine by past 24 hours, past week. So I might maybe I might do the past month, let's say. And then you have the LinkedIn features. So has the job been advertised by somebody like in my network? So my network is up to 3 degrees away from me. Is it easy apply? I'm going to explore that in another section. Are there under 10 applicants? So they can actually be quite good jobs to apply for as well. And we can see 71 of the jobs in this search result have under 10 applicants. And then if you're quite particular about what you want, if you know that, look, I only want a contract, you could tick that as well, or full-time, whichever you want. And then locations. So can you see there, Dublin 105, and we've Cork has 4. If we move on, we can see the company breakdown over here, but you can also add in a company. So let's say Google isn't mentioned in that. So if I type in, I can type in Google, and it doesn't have any jobs, unfortunately. If we look at industry, I could refine by industry. So if you look at job function, we can add in a job function. But because I suppose I've searched for digital marketing strategy, I'm going to get marketing, sales, business development, or information technology, or art, or creative. And then the experience level. So what level are you at in terms of your career? So you can tick whichever ones there are relevant. And then down at the bottom, you can add your job title. But we can see we have a breakdown. We have digital marketing executive, digital marketing manager, senior marketing manager, marketing manager. So you know what? I don't really want exec roles. I would like digital marketing manager, senior marketing manager. I'll consider a contractor, and I'll also consider marketing manager. So I've ticked the 4 of them. Location, I don't mind location. And I just untick Google because there's no point, because they've no jobs. And then I'm going to see what happened like in the past month, what's been posted within the last 4 weeks. So can you see straight away? Now it's refined it down to 14 search results. So that might take up less of my precious time, when I'm trying to filter through all these results. And I'm going to flick back to relevance just to see what it thinks is most relevant for me. So there we have one job, Senior Digital Marketing Manager, Paid Media Strategy. Look at this, Senior Digital Marketing Manager for Pringles. Love Pringles, might work there. And then we have Digital Marketing Manager down here then. And to be fair, like those all filters, they work really, really, really well. If you're doing quite a broad search and you have hundreds of results, refine it down, refine. But a little bit of a caveat, don't overuse the all filters button, because, if you over refine, then you probably get very little then turning up. So that's it for this section on just a very simple introduction to searching for jobs, and then how to use the all filters to refine and get a better, more tailored search for jobs that we think we'd like to apply for. So the job section on LinkedIn. So if we want to find that, where we go is up at the very top. We look for the little suitcase and we look for jobs. So click on that, and now we're into the job section of LinkedIn. There's a couple of different elements here, and I'm going to work my way down through them. So the first one is career interests, and that'll take us back to the section that we covered previously in this course. So if you want to edit anything in here, you can go straight to that section using that little shortcut. Then the next one is your dream jobs just a search away. So this is the main function of this page. You can search jobs, and you can also then refine by location, and we're going to get into that shortly. If you have any recent job searches, like they're going to appear here as well, and you can manage your recent job searches. Because you view certain roles on LinkedIn, it's going to try its best to present you with similar roles. So up here it says, because I viewed this job recently, content strategist, B2B at Rattleberry, talent solutions. the algorithm's kicking in now, and now it's showing me senior staff writer, content and campaigns marketing associate, community content manager, marketing, brand design and communications exec, and so on. So that can be quite a good place for you to go, let the algorithm do the work and let it show you similar jobs. But I wouldn't rely 100% on that, because it's just an algorithm at work at the end of the day. If you've chosen to follow certain companies that you're interested in, so for example, I just follow like LinkedIn and Google, any jobs that they think are relevant to me, so any quite like marketing heavy jobs, they're also going to appear here. And then down at the very end it says based on your profile and career interests, so that section we completed in this previous section to this, and it's going to also analyze like all the keywords in your profile. It's going to suggest more jobs here as well. So there's 12 job titles, 2 locations. Because I'm quite specific about Cork, I only get about maybe like 2 jobs here. So you can see, because I've updated where I live and how far I'm willing to commute, you can see here it says there's a 20-minute commute. But beware, because this job was posted 3 weeks ago. This job was only posted 2 days ago. So that's just a very quick overview of the job section on LinkedIn. Now next we're going to search for a job, and we're going to filter, and we're going to refine a job. So to do that, we click on the search jobs box, and you can see here it says your searches. So it knew that I had searched for marketing strategy recently, but for some reason it's also kind of giving me suggested job titles here, and this is because I have the word online one-to-one training in my job title, in my current job title. But let's say I'm gonna search for like digital marketing. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and the location, I'm just gonna go broad. I'll go Ireland, just to see what's out there. So you can see here that I've got 141 results. There's a couple of promoted ones here up at the top, and then we get into other ones then underneath, and they mostly seem to be in Dublin, although there's one in Cork. Now, instead of me having to scroll down through each one of them and read them one by one, there's a couple of things I can do. It's sorted up here by relevance, but what I could do is that I might go by post date, let's say, because I only want like the most recent ones. So look at that, that's been posted 7 hours ago, that's been posted 12 hours ago, and that's been posted a day ago. And I guess for anybody who is out there, you know, going through your own applications, and if you're going through that process, sometimes the quicker and the sooner you can get your application in for a job, you can make that like strong impression like straight off. So it can be worthwhile to, yes, search by relevance, but also to search by post date. Now if you go over here to all filters, so if you've done the people searching, you'll recognize this. So we have all filters up here, and you'd almost miss it because it kind of blends into the background. So I always use the all filters button. And when we expand on that, can you see all the options that we get under this button? It's incredible. So I think one of the most important ones is date posted. So you can refine by past 24 hours, past week. So I might do the past month, let's say. And then you have the LinkedIn features. So has the job been advertised by somebody like in my network? So my network is up to 3 degrees away from me. Is it easy apply? I'm going to explore that in another section. Are there under 10 applicants? So they can actually be quite good jobs to apply for as well. And we can see 71 of the jobs in this search results have under 10 applicants. And then if you're quite particular about what you want, if you know that, look, I only want a contract, you could tick that as well, or full-time, whichever you want. And then locations. So can you see there, Dublin 105, and we've Cork has 4. If we move on, we can see the company breakdown over here, but you can also add in a company. So let's say Google isn't mentioned in that. So if I type in, I can type in Google, and it doesn't have any jobs, unfortunately. If we look at industry, I could refine by industry. So if you look at job function, We can add in a job function, but because I suppose I've searched for digital marketing strategy, I'm going to get marketing, sales, business development, or information technology, or art, or creative. And then the experience level. So what level are you at in terms of your career? So you can tick whichever ones there are relevant. And then down at the bottom, you can add your job title, but we can see we have a breakdown. We have digital marketing executive, digital marketing manager, senior marketing manager, and marketing manager. So you know what? I don't really want exec roles. I would like digital marketing manager, senior marketing manager. I'll consider a contractor, and I'll also consider marketing manager. So I've ticked the 4 of them. Location, I don't mind location. And I just untick Google because there's no point, because they've no jobs. And then I'm going to see what happened like in the past month, what's been posted within the last 4 weeks. So can you see straight away? Now it's refined it down to 14 search results. So that might take up less of my precious time, when I'm trying to filter through all these results. And I'm going to flick back to relevance just to see what it thinks is most relevant for me. So there we have one job, Senior Digital Marketing Manager, Paid Media Strategy. Look at this, Senior Digital Marketing Manager for Pringles. Love Pringles, might work there. And then we have Digital Marketing Manager down here then. And to be fair, like those all filters, they work really, really, really well. If you're doing quite a broad search and you have hundreds of results, refine it down, refine. But a little bit of a caveat, don't over use the all filters button, because if you over refine, then you probably get very little then turning up. So that's it for this section on just a very simple introduction to searching for jobs, and then how to use the all filters to refine and get a better, more tailored search for jobs that we think we'd like to apply for. Next, we're going to look at how to apply for a job. And there's 2 options here. We can use Easy Apply, or we can use Apply. So what is Easy Apply? So here's an example of a job. So it's Digital Marketing Specialist, it's in Dublin, and we have the Easy Apply button here. What that means is that when I click on this, I can apply easily through my LinkedIn account. So it'll get a copy of my profile. There's my email address and my phone number, and I can choose to attach a resume or my CV. And yes, I would always suggest, always that you attach a copy of your CV, because if you get called for interview, this is what they're going to look for, and this is what you're going to be interviewed on. So let's say you don't have a copy of your CV, you just click the upload resume button there, or I can choose recent. So these are recent CVs that I have used in jobs. So I have my default resume here, so I can choose that one. Or let's say this is a different one. I used this on the 1st of March, 2018, maybe for a specific job. So I'm going to click that one. And just to be aware that they will send a copy of your full profile with your application. And what I also think is a little bit sneaky, down here it says follow Prosperity Recruitment. So that's the recruitment company that are advertising this job. And that button is default ticked. And that is actually one way how a lot of companies kind of build up their followers on their LinkedIn page. So what you can do is you can choose to leave that ticked, and that means that you automatically, by default, are following their company page on LinkedIn, which means that if they post any bit of content, that will appear immediately on your newsfeed. So actually, that can be quite a good way to monitor jobs and monitor like company news and developments. But if you don't want to, you just untick that button, and then you're not following their company page. And then you can double check application settings, so that can bring you into another section. And we did this at the very start of this course. So this is the job seeking preferences. So we've already covered that. So I'm just going to go back. I'm going to click easy apply again. Oh, look at that, default ticked. So I'm going to untick that. And then you can submit your application. And as soon as you hit submit, it wings its way to the job poster. So the next one is where we have no easy apply, where you have to apply directly to the company. So let's say the Pringles job. Absolutely love Pringles. And I can see here that the only options I'm given are that I can save or that I can apply. So if I click apply, now up at the very top, you can see that it's brought me to the Kellogg's job application portal. So you can see Talio.net just there. And now I've left LinkedIn and I've gone to the Kellogg's portal. So you just make sure you read through all that, and then we click apply, and then we go through all of their steps. And because I've hit apply straight away, my profile was shared with the job poster. So even though I haven't sent my CV or done anything through their job portal, my profile was still shared with them. So that's just something you need to be aware of, and like that's okay too. You know, that doesn't matter. So there we have it. So if you really like this easy apply option, I'm just going to show you. We're going to go back into all filters and see where it says easy apply. I'm going to click that. And it's going to refine all those jobs, and it's just going to show me the 2 jobs that are easy apply. So I wouldn't go around looking specifically for just only easy apply jobs. If the job is worth it, and if the company does have their own job application portal like Kellogg's did for this job, then you are going to have to go through those steps. However, what you could do also is look up who the talent acquisition people are in Kellogg's. Do look at their profile, maybe send them a connection request saying that you'd like to connect with them and that you've applied for the senior digital marketing Pringles job, and that you just hope that they get your application. So just be a bit smart about how you apply and how you use the full remit of LinkedIn. Just because you see a job here doesn't mean that you can't look up who works in that team through the other parts of LinkedIn. So it's all about being a bit cute, it's all about being a bit clever, but it is also about being genuine. So there you have it. That's the difference between easy apply and apply. So best of luck with your job applications. So a really quick tip for you is to copy the URL of your LinkedIn profile and add it to a copy of your CV. So the reasons we would do this is to make the lives of recruiters or anybody looking at your CV a lot easier. So they can just click the link to your profile and they don't have to type in your name, they don't have to do a search, they don't try and have to figure out who you are. They just click the link and then they land directly on your profile. So it's really quick and really easy. You just copy your profile URL. So you right click, copy, and then pop to your CV. So on your CV, you'll have your contact details, such as your phone number, your email address, or your address. So what we do is we go to the very top of the doc or the bottom, wherever your details are, and just right click and paste. Now that's a little bit small, so I'll just center it and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And that's it. You have your lovely URL link on your CV to make everybody's lives a lot easier, so you can be found really quickly on LinkedIn. So, what is a content? So content is anything like photographs, photographs, it could be a newspaper article that you've seen online that you want to share, it can be videos, but also it can be PDFs as well. So again, for your own personal page, we need to kind of remember it's coming from you, it's your personal brand, and it's coming from the individual as well. So next point, content is not your sole strategy on LinkedIn. And I feel very passionately about this one because when I'm training, when I go in-house into a company and I'm training, and I have a form that I send to people in advance. And when I ask them the top 3 things that they want to know about content or about training in general, they just come back with content, how to post, when to post, and what to post. But remember your whole approach to LinkedIn and remember my strategy to LinkedIn. So the first one is having really good, professional, polished, personal profiles because we have to build trust with that personal profile. And then the second one is we search on LinkedIn, we find people who we want to influence and we add them and we build up our personal network. And then the third element is we have relevant content and then we post smarter as well. So remember this slide that I showed you way back at the start of this course and for what I call marketing foundations. So at the top you can see we have the general ground rules. We have knowing your market, we have raising awareness, we have building trust, and then we have selling subtly. And then underneath we have it broken into those 4 sections. So number 1, professional profiles, number 2, growing your network, relevant content, number 3, and then number 4, posting smarter. Next section. So why do we post content? Why do we take photographs? Why do we take videos? Why do we share newspaper articles? So in this slide, you can see I have 4 main reasons. And the general overall reason is that content will help sell you and what you do, but critically, it will help build your own credibility and obviously establish trust. And I suppose there's 4 main questions when we're dealing with somebody on LinkedIn. And the first one is, why trust you? Are you knowledgeable? Do you know what you're talking about? Are you trustworthy? And content is a great way of answering that question in the positive. Second one is, are you credible? So do you have knowledge of what you do? Are you good at what you do? The third one is, are you passionate about your work? Are you really interested in your industry? And do you have a lot of passion that you can show for your work? Now, when I'm working with 3rd level students, I always tell them this point in that they mightn't have the same amount of experience as perhaps somebody who's quite senior in their role, but that doesn't mean that they can't share articles on their industry. So if they work on science, they could share like newspaper articles on new reports or new surveys. Or if they're working in marketing, for example, and if they're very passionate about digital marketing, that doesn't mean they can't share articles about perhaps like the latest Google update. So you don't always have to be posting personal photographs or taking videos. You can just share industry news as well. And the last one is, are you any good? Like, I want to see results. So if you are self-employed like me, the more content you can put out there showing, you're actively working, you're busy, you're networking, that all builds up, firstly, your visibility on LinkedIn. It builds up your profile, but critically, it builds up credibility and it builds up trust as well. And then another reason we post content is that it's a really easy way to show how you solve the customer pain. So we dealt with customer pain way back at the start of this course under marketing foundations and customer personas. So imagine you have a product or a service and you know the USP and you know the joy that it can bring. Well, there's no better way to actually show this to your network through a photograph or through a report, a case study, or a testimonial. And it can really kind of cut through all that noise on the LinkedIn feed and it can get in front of your target market and you can show how you bring joy into people's lives and how you solve their problem. Another element to content is that, as you can see in the chart here, that it drives views on your personal profile. So this is really important, and I notice this a lot, that when I put up a really good piece of content, the number of people viewing my profile just goes through the roof. And the reason this is great is because you're driving people back to your own personal profile, which means like something you've posted has caught their attention. But ultimately what you'll find is the more views you get on your own personal profile, the more connection requests you will build up. And remember, the whole part of LinkedIn is that we grow our own personal network. So yes, you can be out there searching and actively adding people to your network, but also your content might capture the interest of people that you want to sell to, and before you know it, they're sending you connection requests because of something you've posted. Now we're going to look at some examples of content from my own newsfeed that have worked quite well. So as a job seeker, you may not be all that comfortable actually appearing in your posts, and I have a few examples of a workaround for this. So the first one is really simple. You just take a photo of the building where the event is on. Now try and get the name of the building, or try and get like an impressive shot of the building. So for example, in this one, this is the Hartnett Enterprise Acceleration Centre in Limerick Institute of Technology in Ireland. And I was attending a 2-day entrepreneur bootcamp in this building, and I wasn't too sure if I could take photos of the inside of it, but I still wanted to let my network know that I was attending the course in the building. So it was kind of a nice enough day. I got a bit of an arty shot. I'm not in it, but you can see at the top, the little piece of text at the top, it says Bantry yesterday, Limerick and LIT today. So I was a busy bee driving all around the country that time. So again, I'm just trying to get that across as well, that I'm quite busy and I'm here, there, and that I'm everywhere. Another option would be, again, to take a picture of the place if it's quite impressive. So you can't get much more impressive than this. It's Thomond Park Stadium in Limerick again. And a bit of context behind this picture, it was the International Women's Day celebrations on in the beautiful corporate place within Thomond Park. And really lucky to be there. Amazing event, beautiful view of the stand across the way, quite an iconic place, quite an iconic stand. So I knew it would make like a really good picture. But again, if I just put this up on its own without any text at the top, some people would be like, why is Louise putting up a picture of Thomond Park? So we need to work on the text a little bit. So again, I'm quite natural, I'm quite informal and relaxed in the wording that I use. So you can see I said no better place to be on hashtag IWD 2019 than Thomond Park, Limerick, surrounded by businesswomen, chat, buzz, energy, lots of new connections and great speakers. Well done to Network Ireland for organising an excellent event. And then if you click see more, then there'd be a couple of hashtags underneath that. So again, what's the purpose of this post? What are you saying? And you can see I'm not selling. I'm not touting for a job. I'm not selling myself. It's all very subtle. Another option would be if you go to a lot of talks, if you go to a lot of events, if you go to a lot of networking events and there's a speaker, you should take a photograph of the speaker and just show that you're there and that you're interested and that you're furthering your own learning. So you can see in this picture, this is an amazing woman that I know. Her name is Mary Fitzgerald, and this was one of her first speaking events that she's ever did. So of course I was in the audience supporting her. So we take the photograph, make sure the person in the photograph is looking good, you know, that their eyes aren't closed or anything like that. And then up the text at the top, it says, attended my first Lunch and Learn event today in Republic of Work to see this awesome lady, Mary Fitzgerald, present on how to cultivate healthy workplace dynamics. Learned a thing or two, not easy to stand in front of strangers. And if you click see more, you can see a bit more of that text. So again, I'm still not in the picture, but I'm still establishing and still showing that I am out and about, and really you're getting a better sense of who I am rather than just a CV. This one, we spoke earlier about this one in another section. And I just want to show you this because another thing that you can do is take a screenshot of a written post that you've come across, and you can give some insight or some opinion on this one. So just to go through this one in a bit more detail, this was a job advert that I saw that somebody sent on to me, and the job advert was really long. You had to read through lots of it. And so the company added in this little caveat in the last 4 lines, and where it says, you will be interviewing with customer experience director. Her favourite colour is blue, so she'd be pleased if you put that word somewhere in your subject line when sending your letter. So I thought that was really interesting, really sneaky but great way to try and measure somebody's attention to detail. So what I did was I took a screenshot of that post, and you can see at the top I've written interesting way to test for attention to detail buried in the last 4 lines of this very long job advert. Sneaky, hashtag attention to detail, hashtag job, hashtag cover letter, hashtag career, hashtag smart box. Another example. So this is just me trying to prompt a conversation using something very genuine, like from my own life. So I have a lot of business cards. I have boxes and boxes of business cards. And one day I was just going through them all because I was looking for somebody. And I just thought, my goodness, what do other people do with their business card collection in these days of LinkedIn? What do they do? So I just took a photograph, and up at the top I said, what do you do with your business card collection? I hold on to them all, even though I'm connected with most on LinkedIn. Call me sentimental, but it's nice to have their brand, visual identity and contact details. And I said clutter or useful documents. So you can see here I got a bit of engagement. I got about 16 comments. It was really interesting, and about 27 likes as well. So I'm still not in the picture, but I'm still prompting a conversation using content. However, I would say that you do not overdo this a lot, because you don't want to become a one-trick pony. So now this is a bit of me, like in a few photographs. And the reason I'm showing you this one is because it's not salesy whatsoever, and it's a little bit different, I suppose. So I was invited to be in the audience of this radio show. So if anybody's from Ireland, it was the Ian Dempsey Breakfast Show, and they came to a lovely bar called Electric in Cork City during the summer. So I was in the audience bright and early, and they really took great care of us. We got lovely food, there was great entertainment, there was a great band, there was an interview with the cast of The Young Offenders, like a TV show, and there was music from the Frank and Walters. So I was taking a few photographs, and normally now I was saying to myself, I wonder, are these kind of like not corporate enough for LinkedIn? But I just figured, you know what, it's just interesting. We're all here in Cork. The Ian Dempsey's here in Cork. Doesn't happen very often. I'll post them and see how I get on. So yeah, I did really well. I got a couple of 1,000 views. But I just want to show you that sometimes it doesn't always have to be corporate events, conference events, speaking events, and that you can get into photographs when it's not strictly corporate related, but it just depends on how you kind of write your text. Another option would be to keep an eye on like online newspapers or online journals, websites, and if you see something that's quite interesting and that is quite relevant to your industry, you can copy that and paste it in, and I'm going to show you how to do all of that in another section. So in this example, you can see that there was a newspaper article, or was an online article on a website, rte.ie, and basically it's that Aer Lingus, our national airline, is currently taking applications for its future pilot training programme. And while the programme is very popular, the application rate amongst women is only around 7%. So again, I'd be quite interested in women in the workplace. So I thought this was really, really interesting. And you can see that I got like 14 likes and I got 2 comments on that. So again, this is a really handy, easy way to start posting content. If you don't want to be in a photograph, if you're not going to events, you can most definitely start with sharing online articles. And lastly, you can share other people's content, and I'm going to show you how to do this in another section of this course. And in this example, this is a video from the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, and she's talking about New Zealand's first ever well-being budget. And I watched the video and I have to say I thought it was absolutely fantastic. She's an absolute natural on camera. So I decided to share this post, and again you have to put it into context. So why are you sharing this post? So up at the top you can see I wrote so many things to like about this video. Never mind the fact that they have called it a well-being budget. Who knew politics could be so positive and so practical? So it got a little bit of interest, I suppose, based on that. And I'm going to show you how to do that in another section, how to share content on LinkedIn, but kind of how to put your own spin on it as well and how to put it into context. In this video, we are going to look at content, specifically analytics and examples of posts that have worked really well for me. So we are going to look at how content analytics are calculated, and then I'm going to show you how to access the analytics on your posts. And then I'm going to show you a few examples of various different types of content that have worked really well for me. Such examples are photographs, videos, web links, and then when I break the rules, so when I post non-work related stuff. So on this slide I have some photographs of an event that I was very fortunate to speak at last year, and you can see underneath the picture I have a red box around the number of views on this post. So before we go into any more detail on views, I just want to discuss how these data are calculated. So according to LinkedIn, the posts analytics, they expire after 2 months from the date of creation. So if you want to go back and look at previous posts, and you might be wondering why there's no analytics on those posts, if they're more than 2 months old, unfortunately the analytics just expire. Second point is that the analytics will only appear after your post has been viewed by at least 10 people or more. And then to protect privacy, the analytics aren't available for content that you share only with your connections when you use that setting or in LinkedIn groups. And then the analytics breakdown, they display non-unique views. So what that means is that if your friend or your colleague looks at that post 10 times, it'll count 10 views. It doesn't matter if the same person is looking at it because it only values non-unique views. And then lastly, when we come to video, when you see the views on your video, that person has to have watched your video for at least 3 seconds or more for that to count as a view. So sometimes when people are looking at their content and the content was only posted last week and there's 0 views on it, unfortunately your content hasn't been viewed by anybody, and that's why the views haven't kicked in. So just be a little bit mindful of that. But back to this slide. So the photographs that I posted when I spoke at an event last year, and underneath you can see I've got a couple of thousand views. So when you click on those views, and they're clickable, so just hover your mouse over the number and click, and it'll bring you to another screen where it will show you data, and it'll break down the data into 3 elements. So the first element is the companies that have viewed your post. So really this is people working in companies. So they can't show you the people's names, but they can show you the companies that they work for. And then the middle column are the job titles of these people. Now again, they can't show you the exact job titles, so they kind of water the job titles down, they kind of filter them down to maintain people's privacy. But it will still give you a really good indication of the types of people, the types of job titles who are looking at your content. And then the last part is location. So it will show you the location of the people who are viewing your content. And that's always really interesting because you might think it may only stay within like your country or your city, but it actually doesn't. Like, it shows how much of a global platform LinkedIn truly is, because looking at your analytics on your posts, you can see just how far and wide your content goes to. So a couple of things need to be mindful here. So when we look at the first column, the companies who are looking at your content, really analyze that closely. And we're always looking for alignment. So back with our marketing foundations, who are the types of companies that you're trying to target? And looking at this data on your posts, is your content landing in front of the right people in the right companies? And this is probably one of the best ways to see tangibly if we have a gap. So do we have a gap in who we would like to target, and then who are we actually targeting, and how do we close that gap? And the best way we can close that gap is through actively going out there, using the search tool, finding people in the companies we want to be connected with, and sending them a connection request. But then on top of that, having really good content, relevant content that gives them really interesting information or builds your own credibility by showing how much of an industry expert that you are. So that's what the first column can tell us. The second column is pretty similar. So it's job title. So again, who are the types of people that you're trying to influence? Who are your key decision makers? And look at the list of people who are looking at your content and try to decide, are those the type of people that you want to influence or not? And if you're getting non-relevant job titles for what you're selling, your product or your service, same thing as the companies, you have to use your search tool, find the job titles, find the people that you want to connect with, who you can influence, and send them a connection request. And then if your content is good enough, you'll engage them, maybe not immediately, but many drops make a river. So over time, you'll engage them. And then the last column for location, it's really interesting. It doesn't really make much of a difference to me, only to show how far and wide my content goes. But it's still a really interesting statistic, but it probably doesn't impact on your overall marketing strategy. But keep an eye on it at the same time. Next, we're going to cover how to share a web link. So very often, let's say you're browsing like an online newspaper or an online magazine, and you see a really interesting article and it is relevant to your industry, and you think that other people in your industry would be quite interested in this. So it's a really easy way to share content if you're not very comfortable with sharing photographs or sharing videos. So it's a great way to keep your profile ticking over. So what we do is we need to find the web link. So here's one that I was having a look at earlier, and I think it's quite interesting. And what we do is we highlight the link, and then I press right click, and then I click copy. And then you click start to post, and you right click, and then we paste. Now we give it about 2 or 3 seconds because it needs to talk to the website and it needs to pull the image. So that's one example. And what I do then is I go back into the article, and like the journalists have done the work. So I copy like the first 2 sentences, and then I right click copy again. Have a little read over. Sometimes there could be something quite interesting in the report. So that's something, related to Dublin there, so I could pop that in as well. And what I do is you can remove that link if you want. This won't disappear because it has pulled the information from the website. That's also kind of nice for some people to be able to click on it. So I just pop down 2 rows, hit paste, and just make sure that that's okay. And then that's the link to the article, and we could put in Ireland, and we could put in hashtag data centers. And that's it. So I'm quite happy to post that. So I'll click post. And you can see here, if I click see more, and that's the link to the article. So it changes automatically to LNKD. And then I have my 2 hashtags as well. So what I might do is, because it's nice to have everything up on the one line, I might move it up there. And that's it. So the reader can see most of this sentence without having to click see more. So that's how we copy a link from an online article, and that's how we share it across our personal LinkedIn page on desktop. If you want to post a photograph on your LinkedIn profile, we can do this really simply, just through a few quick steps. The first thing is you need to make sure that you are on your newsfeed. So you need to be home. So for example, if you are in your own personal profile, the easiest way to get back to this is to press the home button here. And then we're looking for start to post. So when you hit start to post, now let's say, what do you want to talk about? I always go down to the camera icon here. Now we're looking for just a photograph that you've taken recently. Now you can tag somebody in that photograph. So for example, let's see if I can tag myself. So you can tag yourself there. Next, we need to put in some text at the top. So this is actually a behind the scenes photograph of some of the recording that we were doing today. So I'll just say something like, you could put in a few hashtags if you want. So, because we're doing LinkedIn training, I'll just go LinkedIn and I'll just go sales and I'll do video. Sometimes they give you a list of options here as well, because LinkedIn really want you to use hashtags, but I don't really like any of those ones that they're suggesting. Video streaming, mapping, we can put in videographers as well, maybe. And then I always like to add in my location as well, just because it gives it that local sense as well. So that O is going onto a different line. We click post, so always have a little look and make sure that you are happy with how your post appears. So that looks good. So behind the scenes, serious work. I might just put the hashtags on another line. Sometimes it's nice to split it up. And with you, with myself. And that is really simply how you post a photograph on your personal LinkedIn profile using desktop. And now we're going to do another one, except this time using our mobile. On mobile, to upload a photo, it's really simple, really easy. So what we're looking for is down at the very end, we're looking for that plus icon. So we hit that and then it says, what do you want to talk about? And then we have the three icons. We have the camera icon, we have a video icon, and we have just a photo icon. So because I've already taken the photograph, I'm going to go into my gallery, and it says you can post up to 9 photos at a time. And I am going to click one of the ones that I used earlier, and it says add a sticker to your photo. Now personally I don't, just because it's LinkedIn, it's not Snapchat. So that's my photograph, and then I hit the plus arrow and type in something, something short, something sweet, because we are on our mobile, so we're not expected to write like a big paragraph. So I'll just say something similar, and as usual, they give us our hashtags. So I might go LinkedIn training, career, and behind the scenes. And I always like to put in a location. And just make sure you're happy with everything. And then when you are, we look for the top right-hand corner and we hit post. Now I'm not going to post this live because I've already just posted one on the desktop. But that's how you post a photograph from your gallery through your mobile device.